Chapter 1156. In the darkness, a pair of eyes quietly opened. It's actually an emissary. May I ask what important orders the Lord has for me this time? The creature in the darkness asked in surprise. A howling gale swept up in the void and a figure appeared. His hair danced in the wind, and two horns on his head were like giant spiral thorns. His eyes were as deep as the abyss, and from time to time, a strange light flashed through them. The Lord's main body is still in seclusion in the sky outside the clouds. He sent out a thought and personally ordered you to capture a person. The man said. The creature in the darkness was full of surprise. He had dominated the sacred boundary for countless eras and had assassinated countless top creatures for the Lord. There were dragons, demons, and even the extinct Zerg and the missing Azuras. Today's target was a weak human? The Lord's orders are to capture him alive as much as possible. If you can't bring him back alive, bring him back with an intact corpse. If there's no corpse, then don't ever come back. The creature in the darkness trembled. Then, what's the target? The human race, genius ranking. Title: God's Descent, Lin Chen. On the Red Moon platform, the Scarlet Fairy did not reveal her true appearance. She hid behind the curtain and said indifferently, "The competition for the candidate token is limited to males. It's divided into two parts. All the participating geniuses must agree to my request. If you pass the assessment and get the candidate token, you must also agree to one of my requests. The assessment this time is divided into three parts. Combat strength is not the first. What I need are male geniuses who are full of tricks and have excellent looks and temperament. Geniuses who are willing and able to accept my conditions can stand on the platform. That will count as registration." The powerhouses of the various forces looked at each other. Sure enough, this feast was not just a test of combat strength. How can I miss out on such a good thing? The young man held a fan and calmly walked into the venue. His nose bridge was high and his eyebrows were straight. He looked like a handsome young master who had walked out of a splash ink painting. It's young Master Lien Wushuang. It's said that he recently participated in an alchemy ceremony. I didn't expect him to come here so soon. He's too outstanding. He's both a sage genius and a sage-level alchemist. Many female geniuses were overjoyed, and Lien Wushuang had a look of victory on his face. Last time, I encountered that monster Lin Chen. This time, it should be this young master's turn to obtain the candidate token, right? That guy offended Long Yijing, who's on the demon genius list. Who knows where he's hiding now? While Lien Wushuang looked like he was in control of the entire situation, another genius appeared. His figure was tall and slender, and he stood there like an otherworldly spear. His face was chiseled and firm, and it revealed a trace of handsomeness. Moreover, his piercingly cold expression even added a slight sense of solemnity to him. "Oh, Wei Chongqing, ranked 977 on the genius ranking, you're also participating?" When Lien Wushuang was curious, there was a hint of seriousness in his eyes. "For the sake of the clan's mission, success or failure doesn't matter," Wei Chongqing said calmly. Whoosh! A hurricane swept across, and a ray of sword light slashed toward him. The ray of sword light transformed into a human figure. He wore a green robe and carried a sword on his back. With a silk scarf tied around his belt, he held a pot of wine in his hand and kept drinking. The corner of his mouth that was overflowing with the fragrance of wine was slightly raised, showing the unrestrained demeanor of a young man. "I've been on the genius ranking for so many years, and it's time for me to take a step forward. The demon genius list is quite suitable for me. This time, I'll have to trouble all of you to make way for me." The young man in the green robe wiped the corner of his mouth and smiled. Some fifth tribulation battle emperors couldn't help but hold their breath. Lin Haoyu, ranked 659 on the genius ranking, Blooming Flowers, Spring Drunken Sword, is also here. They're too strong. These big shots are the representatives of the future leaders of the sacred boundary. Before the crowd could finish their exclamations, the ground of the platform cracked open without any warning. A smirking face emerged from the cracked ground, grinning evilly. It said that the winner will get a beauty. I, Shi Shaoxian, will not miss such a good opportunity. Once this person appeared, many people on the platform stood up abruptly, as if they had seen a ghost. Is he she saw, one of the four great lechers? That's Shi Shaoxian from the eastern sex, northern swing, southern wretch and western saw. F***ck, this guy really came. So the rumors I heard a few days ago were true. Some of the women gritted their teeth in hatred. This Shi Shaoxian from the western saw was worse than a beast. Everything he did was extremely wretched. He either liked to peep at others or steal women's things. The most infuriating thing was that he had written all the things about the family heads of other families and sex into **King novel. He knew everything about how to thank the family heads for 15 minutes, which family's madam's favorite type, which family's daughter's favorite color, the style of the king of singles, and so on. This guy was ranked 777 on the genius ranking, and the most amazing thing was that he had an orange tier body movement technique. Ordinary experts would not be able to catch him even if their cultivation level was higher. He also had a super strong backer, the identity of the young master of a 6th grade family. That was why he was not beaten to death even though he had done extremely lewd things in the sacred boundary. In the end, he was even listed as one of the 4 great sex thieves. The 4 great sex thieves were all the public enemies of women. Therefore, when Shi Shaoxian appeared, there was a lot of scolding outside the platform. Lady Scarlet Fairy, you can't let this kind of person participate in the competition. This kind of person will only ruin your reputation. Fairy, please think twice. Yes, how can the 4 great sex thieves participate in the fairies' banquet? Fairy, please expel and suppress this thief. In the face of many people's petitions, an unexpected answer came from behind the curtain of the void ship. She saw Shi Shaoxian, right? I don't exclude you from participating in this banquet. However, you should know the rules. If you obtain the Monster Genius Ranking Candidate token, you must do something for me within your ability. Shi Shaoxian whistled. No problem, Fairy, please rest assured. As long as I have enough beautiful women, even if you want the stars in the sky, I will find them for you. This answer was beyond everyone's expectations. Some experienced experts had some doubts in their hearts. What did Fairy Scarlet want to do that she would not hesitate to let someone like Shi Shaoxian participate in the banquet? There was no lack of people who were fanatical. Today, 4 peerless geniuses in the top 1,000 of the genius ranking have gathered. They're too strong. I didn't expect to have a chance to see their peerless demeanor. What kind of assessment will Fairy Scarlet give? Don't tell me she will let them compete in the arena? Just as the atmosphere on the platform was heating up, a spatial crystal wall suddenly cracked open in the sky above the Red Moon platform. Rumble! Bang! 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 The endless explosions were like an apocalyptic natural disaster that shook the heavens and earth, alarming the automatic defense array of the Red Moon platform. What's going on? Which expert dares to fight here? This is the southern border. Hiss. My God, isn't that the dragon right crystal on the genius ranking? It was actually a monster from the genius ranking. Every monster on the genius ranking was the most special new genius in the sacred boundary. Such an existence was simply a legendary existence for forces below 5th grade. The various forces were in chaos. While the sages were exclaiming in horror, the aura and sneers of the 2 in the void were even more shocking. Trash who relies on the power of elixirs to fight with me. I'd like to see how long you can last. Dragon right crystal, what are you pretending for? If we were at the same level of cultivation, I could beat you up with one hand. Many geniuses who were looking up were dumbfounded. Crazy. He must be crazy. What was going on? Which immortal had gone crazy? How dare he fight with the genius ranking? Chapter 1157. What did it mean to fight someone on the genius list? Unless one was also on the genius list, there would only be one outcome. He would be the one killing you, not you. In the 36 regions of the sacred boundary, at least on the surface, no one dared to mess with the genius list. In other words, no one dared to openly kill someone on the genius list. Otherwise, they would be hunted down and suppressed by the higher-ups of the sacred boundary. Two figures appeared out of nowhere and collided with each other as they charged out of the space crack. One of them had an endless ice storm above his head, and he was still engaged in a fierce battle. Every time the two of them collided, the shock waves shook the sky and the earth. One of them had a sharp sword technique, as if he was blessed by the god of thunder. Every strike of his sword was accompanied by rolling thunder and lightning. It was as if he wanted to destroy everything in his way. The other person had a domineering spear technique. As he moved, layers of dragon shadow danced in the air. Bang, 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 clang, 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 clang. Even though the Red Moon platform was protected by the space barrier, it shook violently. Some of the combat emperors were so shocked that their legs trembled. Who in this world would dare to mess with someone on the genius list? Could it be that his opponent was also on the genius list? However, when they took a closer look, they realized that Long Yi Jing's opponent was a young man who had only opened 10 Saint Acupoints. The geniuses looked as if they had seen a ghost, and their minds went blank. Could it be that they had seen a ghost in broad daylight? This was not a cross-level battle, but a cross-level battle. A cross-level battle in the Saint stage? 2F** King cross-levels. And he was challenging the genius list? Was this person crazy or was the world crazy? In the past, only those on the genius list were qualified to challenge a cross-level battle in the Saint stage. Was someone on the genius list a cross-level battle today? No, I've seen that young man's portrait. It's Lin Chen. Damn, I've seen him in person. Is this guy still human? Oh my god. 10 Saint Acupoints versus 30 Saint Acupoints? And he's fighting the genius list. That's not right. I heard that Lin Chen was a genius who exploded 9 Saint Acupoints in a row. It's only been a month, and he's already opened 10 Saint Acupoints? What kind of cultivation speed is this? I'm convinced. The fact that this kid killed 9 Fourth Heaven True Saints isn't a rumor. It's true. 2F** King Ferocious. I've never seen such an outrageous genius. Even the proud and arrogant Wushuang was dumbfounded. His mouth was so wide open that it could fit an egg. Not long ago, he won the Pill Concoction Championship, and now, he's on the cross-level monstrous talents list. Is this kid really human? Lien Wushuang's mouth twitched. It wasn't that there weren't any experts in the southern border. There were even 2/3 Heaven True Saints guarding the place. However, none of them dared to make a move. If a monster on the Monster Genius list wanted to kill someone, it was not up to them to interfere. They had no right to interfere. Unless the masters of the various powers that controlled the southern border were here, their guardian elders were not qualified to make a move. Perhaps only Fairy Crimson, with her status and identity, could stop the genius list. Super Chaos, Laceration, Assault talents triggered. Consumed 2000 advanced rune energy to activate level 6 slow rune. When Lin Chen used a half-orange grade battle technique to forcefully raise its power to the orange grade, it triggered a bunch of passive talent. He threw all of them at Dragon Yi Jing, and from time to time, he would use a slow rune to disrupt the rhythm of Dragon Yi Jing's attacks. Dragon Yi Jing's attacks were weakened again and again. The medicinal power of this peak-grade 3rd Saint Pill is a little too strong. I've already broken through 1 Saint point in the midst of the battle, but it still can't stop. Am I going to break through the 11th Saint point? Lin Chen wantonly used the massive amount of Saint Chi that burst out from his Saint Point. He used Imperial Sky to attack, and the Dance of the True Dragon blocked many attacks. Imperial Sky Gengjin Chi and Eternal Green Light protected his body. Dance of the True Dragon was indeed an orange-grade battle technique. When Lin Chen waved the Phoenix Spear, it formed layers of Dragon Chi to protect him, leaving no gaps. For a moment, Dragon I Jing couldn't take down Lin Chen with all kinds of tricks. Lin Chen wasn't wasting time for no reason. Spent 250,000 enhancement points to upgrade Dance of the True Dragon to +10. Overall power increase, 110%. Lin Chen had been stalling for time so that he could upgrade Dance of the True Dragon. The power of an orange-grade battle technique was terrifying. During the battle on Qilin Island, it had only been 8 times stronger, and he'd killed 14 saints with God's Tear. This time, he'd spent tens of millions of enhancement points to upgrade Dance of the True Dragon to +10. Its power had more than doubled. Dragon I Jing's Saint Chi was chaotic, and his blood was chaotic. Although Dragon I Jing wasn't injured, his power was weakened. On the other hand, although Lin Chen was injured, he was getting stronger and stronger. This kid's spear technique is getting stronger and stronger. Dragon I Jing was shocked. A special secret technique? A temporary increase in power? No, he doesn't seem to be going all out. This is a complete upgrade. If this continues, I won't be able to take him down. I can't hold back anymore. At this moment, Dragon I Jing finally let go of the contempt he had for Lin Chen. He couldn't help but acknowledge Lin Chen's strength. It wasn't the kind of temporary increase in power, but his true strength had forced him to use his true strength. Lightning Killing Claw. Dragon I Jing's sword technique combined with the claw technique. He injected his Saint Chi into 7 lightning odd crystals and struck out with his claw. In an instant, the Thunder Snake Dragon Ritual Crystal's 5 fingers clawed out a crystallized lightning claw that was 1,000 feet long and charged towards Lin Chen. The lightning claw pressed down. It didn't seem strong, but it easily turned a large part of the sky into chaos. The light in the sky above the Red Moon platform suddenly dimmed, and everyone was shocked. Orange-grade ultimate technique. An orange-grade ultimate technique executed by someone on the monster ranking is too terrifying. With such power, I'm afraid other than those on the 4th Heaven Sage Realm, or those on the monster ranking, few 3rd Heaven Sage Realm cultivators at the perfect stage can withstand it. He even used the power of 7 odd crystals. He's going all out. A few Saint Realm geniuses were shocked. This attack made them realize the difference between them and those on the monster ranking. Rumble. An invincible aura erupted from Lin Chen's body. At this moment, the 10 Saint Acupoints in Great Unity Space were constantly throbbing. They merged with the Saint Acupoints in his body, and all the Saint Chi was injected into the 6 odd crystals in his body. Dazzling gold, water blue, flame red, earth yellow, blazing light and darkness. 6 different lights flowed on Lin Chen's Ghost Phoenix Spear like dragons. Lin Chen waved the Ghost Phoenix Spear, and his spear technique was like a dragon. Thousands of 6-colored dragon shadow images danced out, and Saint Chi covered the sky, turning into a 6-colored light that pierced through the sky. Many saints were shocked. To be able to use such a killer move with 10 Saint Acupoints, he was a monster. But it wasn't enough. His opponent was on the monster ranking. Slow rune. 10,000 points of rune energy disappeared, and a gray talisman that was several hundred feet long fell from the sky. When it exploded, it froze the void, causing the monstrous lightning claw to stagnate for a moment. Its power was reduced by about 20%. This move again. Long I Jing's eyes narrowed. Instant light split shadow, true dragon breaks the sky. Lin Chen let out a loud roar, and the 6 rays of light that were as straight as a rainbow suddenly split into 5. What? He can actually use it 5 times. A faint cry of surprise came from the Crimson Ship. Chapter 1158. The lightning claw collided with the 5 rays of 6-colored aura. Chi. Bang. The terrifying shockwave of the collision was like an apocalyptic disaster, rolling out a lightning storm thousands of meters long. In the middle of the storm were 6 different colors of energy, causing the entire Red Moon platform and the giant ship to shake continuously. Lin Chen chewed Long Qingguo, and his dried saint acupoints were quickly filled up by the medicinal power of the elixir. Lin Chen's eyes were filled with excitement and a strong fighting spirit that couldn't be concealed. It made the saints' scalps go numb. This kid is fighting against the monster list, but he's getting more and more energetic. He's really a monster. True Dragon Breaks the Heavens took on Long Yijing's orange ultimate skill. Even if his strength was weakened by various factors, this still represented Lin Chen's strength. As long as he became a saint, even the monster list couldn't suppress him. When the storm dissipated, everyone clearly saw the 6 rays of light in Lin Chen's body. Hiss! Everyone below the Red Moon stage sucked in a breath of cold air. 6 odd crystals? He's only inferior to Long Yijing on the monster list by 1 odd crystal. That's not right. I remember that the highest record for a first heaven sage was 4 odd crystals, right? What kind of freak is this guy? He can control 6 odd crystals at first heaven sage. Isn't he afraid of his saint acupoints becoming chaotic and exploding? Many geniuses were confused. Lin Chen's matters were getting more and more ridiculous. Controlling more odd crystals wasn't necessarily better. The consumption of odd crystals was terrifying, and controlling more odd crystals would increase exponentially. This was undoubtedly a fatal flaw for saints who found it difficult to replenish their saint aura. Only by controlling the most suitable range would odd crystals become a saint's strongest weapon. Otherwise, it would only become a burden to one's strength and hurt oneself before killing the enemy. Boom! The wind and clouds gathered and the universe changed. Thousands of thunderous roars split the sky. Long Yijing held the 3-foot sacred sword and was bathed in lightning. He resisted the ultimate skill and walked out slowly with a gloomy expression. Lightning flashed on the tip of his sword. Lin Chen, you've angered me. I'll take your life with this sword. Long Yijing was going to use an even more terrifying orange tier unique skill. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes as 9-colored starlight gathered in his palm. For the time being, he was unable to fire a stronger shot than before. The specialty of true dragon's dance was gain the upper hand after striking. The more attacks he blocked in a defensive stance, the stronger his counterattack would be. Lin Chen had been passively defending before. In addition to crazily strengthening his cultivation method, he was also accumulating strength. Now, Long Yijing was obviously not going to give him the chance. If young Master Long wants to fight, then let me accompany you, all right? The young man's laughter was like a ray of sunshine in the cold winter, giving life to the world. The young man's silver hair was shining, and his clothes were whiter than snow. His demeanor was peerless, and his eyes were flowing with deep and boundless spiritual fluctuations. As long as one stared into those eyes that shone like the moon and stars, they would forever be lost in the boundless spiritual world and become intoxicated. The gentleness between his brows revealed the shyness of a young man, and his dimples revealed a beauty that could cause the downfall of a nation to pale in comparison. Number 1 on the genius ranking, Han Yiji? You want to disturb me too? Long Yijing frowned. Han Yiji stood beside Lin Chen and smiled, stunning countless women. He smiled and said, suppressing and bullying others is not the style of the genius ranking, right? If young Master Long still wants to fight, we don't mind accompanying you to the end. We? So the information about the sacred burial mountain range is true. Humph. Long Yijing snorted and put away his sword. He was not afraid of Han Yiji, but if the two of them joined forces, it would be unrealistic for him to kill or take Lin Chen away. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Long Yi-Jing's clone returned and entered his body. Lin Chen's 3 clones also returned, and they were all heavily injured. At this moment, something unexpected happened. Rumble! At this moment, the space shook, and a faint 9-colored light rose from the space thousands of miles away in the south. The system's light flickered continuously. Received 50,000 high-grade battle aura essence, 10,000 high-grade health, 2,999 high-grade rune energy, 2,000 talent points, 40,000 enhancement points. The divine dragon's light flashed and returned to the clear snow plant pouch, spitting out a divine body. Long Yi-Jing's expression changed slightly. Lin Chen, you dare to touch my people? Lin Chen's lips curled up, and he laughed out loud. Brother Yi-Jing, have you had too many wet dreams that your brain has gone stupid? You're allowed to kill me, but I'm not allowed to kill your people? Do you think this is a game of grass mud horse jumping over a sand wall? Rumble! Long Yi-Jing was enraged, and the space around him shattered into paste. Han Yiji's forehead flashed with a faint spiritual light, and she smiled without saying anything. Whoosh! A ray of light flashed and appeared beside Long Yi-Jing. It was the 3rd Heaven True Saint follower, and his face was ashen. Young master, elder and perish together with that brat's 2 doppelgangers. Even his saint body was swallowed by his saint dragon. The mouths of the experts below the platform twitched violently. Was this brat still human? He had used 10 saint points to fight against those on the demon genius list, and he had even killed one of their saints. Long Yi-Jing placed his palm on the hilt of his sword, and after a few gloomy moments, he did not draw his sword. Instead, he returned to his usual elegant and graceful self. Good, very good. Lin Chen from the Black Horse Club is really something. I'll owe you this debt for now, and there will be a time to collect it back. After losing a 3rd Heaven True Saint, even he would be reprimanded and punished by his family. Once the clone entered his body, Long Yi-Jing looked at Han Yiji deeply. And you, Han Yiji, before you enter the demon genius list, who knows when you will meet with misfortune? Before Han Yiji could reply, Lin Chen placed his hand on Han Yiji's shoulder and gave Long Yi-Jing the middle finger. Despicable! The corners of Long Yi-Jing's mouth twitched. With a flick of his sleeve, he tore open the void and left with his follower. Class monitor, why do you offend powerful people wherever you go? Han Yiji mumbled, but before she could finish, Lin Chen gave her a bear hug and laughed loudly. Ha! My Yiji has really grown up. You can even protect me as I leave. This handsome class monitor is very pleased. Han Yiji's ears turned red, and she said softly, Class monitor, you're hugging me too tightly, huh? All of a sudden, Lin Chen's saint acupoints throbbed. This was the result of the Water Moon Sage Breakthrough Pill's Water Dragon Breath. Lin Chen immediately sat cross-legged in the void and used 10,000 runes to replenish his clones. 5 clones sat cross-legged in the void and broke through to the next realm. When the various powers and experts saw the young man sitting cross-legged in the void, they couldn't help but gasp in amazement. He had faced the demon genius list head-on and escaped unscathed. He had even killed a true saint. With this kind of battle record, he was worthy of being called a genius who could bring about a revolution. Han Yiji cupped her fists and said, Fairy, he is also here to participate in the banquet. I wonder if you can give him some time? A voice of approval rang out from the ship. No problem. At this time, Lin Chen was focused on breaking through to the next realm. During the battle with Long Yi-Jing, the domineering medicinal energy had broken through his 10th saint acupoint. Under normal circumstances, a 1st Heaven True Saint would need to use other methods to refine the medicinal energy of the Water Dragon Breakthrough Pill. Lin Chen was completely relying on Tai E Emptiness's double holy points, as well as the opportunity to fight and refine his doppelganger's spiritual energy to consume the medicinal power. 2 hours later, Lin Chen's aura reached its peak. Everyone's hearts skipped a beat. Was he going to break through again? Chapter 1159. However, with a rumbling sound, the 11th hexagon star on Lin Chen's body was not fully activated. It only flashed for a moment before it dimmed. Everyone was stunned. He didn't break through? Phew, it's good that he didn't break through. If we let this kid break through 2 saint points in a month, we won't be able to live. A certain veteran saint below the Red Moon stage blushed with shame. F***ck, I didn't break through. My foundation is so solid that I'm just a hair's breadth away from breaking through. Lin Chen looked at the 10 shining saint points in his body and was speechless. What a pity. Although the Water Dragon Break Sage Pill is powerful, it can only be used once. Looks like I can only find another opportunity to break through next time. While Lin Chen was feeling regretful, his consciousness entered Qing Shui's plant pouch. His 10,000 Immortals Palm and Dragon Blood Tree were growing very well. When Lin Chen wanted to count the spoils of war from the saint body that he had exchanged for by sacrificing his 2 clones, the scene in front of him instantly shocked Lin Chen. Inside Qing Shui's plant pouch, the jade-like rod was floating in the air. The Dragon Rite Crystal's follower's saint body was turning into a faint stream of light and being slowly absorbed by it. 10 energy slots appeared on the long end of the rod, and the 4th slot was about to be filled. Boom. In the end, when the saint body was completely absorbed by the rod, its energy slot stopped at the 7th slot. Lin Chen's consciousness seemed to have been struck by lightning. Could it be that this rod is a plant of providence seed produced by absorbing the energy of a saint's body? If that was the case, then if Lin Chen crazily slaughtered saints in the future, would he have an endless supply of plant of providence seeds? What did it mean to produce a large number of plant of providence seeds? It meant wealth and resources. In the sacred boundary, these could all be converted into the owner's strength. As soon as this thought appeared, Lin Chen immediately suppressed it. Phew, I almost did something crooked. I will not become another Clear Sky Saint King, unless it is someone who is my enemy or has touched my bottom line. I, Lin Chen, will not be someone who kills indiscriminately. This rod is ultimately just a supplementary method. The direction in which I want to become stronger should be decided by myself. As he strengthened his conviction, Lin Chen's spirit unknowingly became more complete, and his fighting spirit became even stronger. Even though I managed to kill a 3rd Heaven True Saint, I still used up 200,000 points of runic energy and 100,000 talent points. If I can open up 11 Saint Apertures and use them to support Tai E Kong, it won't be so difficult for me to deal with the monsters on the Heavenly Devil rankings. The battle with Long Yi Jing was purely because he had used his doppelganger to fight. If he had used his true strength, Lin Chen would not have been able to stop him. It was not that the dragon Yi Jing had chosen the wrong person. If he had not controlled Lin Chen's doppelganger, he could have used his doppelganger to confuse the enemy while his real body slipped away. It could only be said that Lin Chen had too many tricks up his sleeve, which limited his strength on the genius list. When Lin Chen opened his eyes again, he realized that there were countless pairs of eyes staring at him. He turned his head to look at the crimson ship and clicked his tongue in wonder. Is this Fairy Scarlet's banquet? Lin Chen landed on the platform and laughed loudly. Black Horse Club, Lin Chen, is here to participate in Fairy Scarlet's banquet and compete for the candidate token. I wonder if I can register? Fairy Scarlet's voice drifted out. Your Excellency, Lin Chen's strength is extraordinary, and his courage is extraordinary. How can I refuse? You are welcome to register. Celestial Scarlet's answer surprised her beloved disciples. It was very rare for them to see their master praise someone. Apart from Shi Shaoxian, all the geniuses' expressions were solemn. In terms of pure combat strength, none of them were a match for Lin Chen. The difficulty of competing with this monster for the candidate token was not ordinary. Clang! 2 streaks of sword light shot out like gods. 2 more geniuses had arrived. Both of them were extraordinarily handsome. The elder brother was heroic and awe-inspiring. The younger brother was gentle and elegant, like a delicate scholar. It was just that the sharpness that occasionally flashed across his face made people feel that he was an extraordinary person. The two of them had opened 11 holy points, and their faces were 90% similar. Were they actually twins? Geniuses ranking 455 and 456, Golden Flame Twin Swords, are here to participate in Fairy Scarlet's banquet. The geniuses' expressions were solemn. Another pair of troublesome fellows had arrived. Whoosh! 3 streaks of holy light were as beautiful as jade, forming a large number of palaces and pavilions in the void. 3 handsome geniuses slowly walked out of them. The 3 sons of Lu Tian are here to participate in Fairy Scarlet's banquet. One by one, the famous geniuses arrived, and the scene became more and more lively. The female geniuses' eyes were full of peach blossoms. These top geniuses were all dragons and phoenixes among men, each with their own merits. Some outsiders still did not understand why only handsome geniuses were chosen. These geniuses had different thoughts. Some wanted to get close to Fairy Scarlet, while others wanted to compete for the candidate token and enter the 10 Years Holy War. Lin Chen touched his chin, took out an ancient mirror, and smiled at his handsome face. If this is purely a competition of handsomeness, then what's the point of competing? Can't they just award me the prize? Some geniuses heard him talking to himself, and the corners of their mouths twitched violently, and Han Yizhi, the first on the genius ranking, had actually appeared as a specially invited judge. Many people did not understand what was going on. Registration time is over. Welcome to the 13 geniuses present. A fragrant wind swept out, and a beautiful figure slowly walked out of the giant crimson ship. Everyone on the platform could not help but hold their breaths. The beauty had beautiful eyebrows, snow-white skin, jade-like shoulders, and fiery red lip. Her pair of beautiful peach blossom eyes, which seemed to be dripping with water, made countless men crazy. Her long crimson dress perfectly highlighted her graceful means. The curve of her dress seemed to be about to burst the front of her robe, making some sages with good mental fortitude secretly swallow their saliva. She was like a peerless beauty who served the king in the palace. Even Lin Chen was amazed. If Daji was still alive, she would not be as beautiful as she was. But in the next moment, Lin Chen's pupils shrank. He stared at Fairy Scarlet and exclaimed subconsciously, "So big! So big!" 2 exclamations sounded at the same time. Lin Chen and Shi Shaoxian exclaimed at the same time. Many women glanced at Shi Shaoxian and Lin Chen with disdain, then looked at Lin Chen with surprise. Inwardly, they clicked their tongues in wonder. Could it be that this brother Lin is a kindred spirit of mine? Han Yizhi face-bombed, Fairy Scarlet said indifferently as if she did not hear them. In the first round of this competition, you need to find 6 tokens called Scarlet Moon Jades in a nest of sacred beasts. Those who obtain the Moon Jades will pass the first round. There are more than 5 sacred beasts in the nest, and the 2 strongest female sacred beasts are comparable to the perfected 3rd Heaven True Saint realm. Fairy Scarlet waved her sleeve, and a giant spatial door opened out of thin air. In addition, the rules of the first round are: contestants are not allowed to attack each other. You can fight with the sacred beasts, but you are not allowed to kill any of the sacred beasts in the nest. If you violate any of the rules, you will be eliminated. Your only goal is to find and obtain the tokens. The time limit for this assessment is 15 days. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. The purpose of this assessment was a little inexplicable. Most importantly, he had discovered a big secret of Fairy Scarlet. Chapter 1160. This is the Scarlet Moon Jade, Fairy Scarlet said indifferently as she held an exquisite and translucent blood-red jade in her hand. It is hidden in a random location in the void plane. 4 of them are hidden in the lairs of the 2 strongest sacred beasts. The token belongs to whoever grabs it first. After the token is obtained, no one else is allowed to attack the holder of the token. Violators will be eliminated. Scarlet Fairy's secret is too big, so big that even I can't handle it. TSK, TSK, TSK. Lin Chen's eyes flickered, and he smiled playfully. Be careful, class monitor. Scarlet Fairy's intentions are unclear, and I can't guess what she's thinking. Han Yizhi transmitted her voice to Lin Chen, and he winked at Han Yizhi. Everyone, please enter the secret realm. After Scarlet Fairy spoke, Lien Wuxuang took the lead and flew into the giant space gate. The 11 geniuses followed closely behind. Lin Chen walked slowly, as if he didn't recognize anyone. Those who didn't know him would think that he was here for a vacation. Whoosh! Space twisted and turned. 15 minutes later, Lin Chen's group arrived on a piece of land. This was an independent spaceplane. Judging from its appearance, it didn't have a master. Only Scarlet Fairy could open the space entrance here. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this time, dozens of light screens appeared in the Red Moon platform. This was a method similar to the magic ice stone in Nine State. It could refract and project the situation of some areas to other areas. However, the former could be used in the space plane of the sacred boundary, while the magic ice stone couldn't play its role in the sacred boundary. The tens of thousands of people in the Red Moon platform became alert as they stared at the situation on the screen, afraid that they would miss a single detail. Boom! 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 Suddenly, 5 streams of light descended from the sky. As soon as the 13 geniuses, including Lin Chen, arrived, they were surrounded by 5 figures. Everyone's heart sank. The geniuses had been surrounded from the beginning? In the mountains, the geniuses standing on top of the mountain looked solemn. These sacred beasts obviously knew that they were going to arrive here. What is Scarlet Fairy doing with this assessment? Very strong auras. I can feel 2 big guys. The situation this time is extremely serious. The 12 geniuses were on high alert, their faces solemn. Even Shi Shaoxian, who possessed an orange tear movement skill, did not make a move immediately. He could sense that 2 of the 5 big guys had terrifying auras. A fat middle-aged woman said in a low, muffled voice, "Ha ha ha," just as Jiao Er said, "A human has opened up a space channel." Another woman, who had a voluptuous body and a leopard-like face, was drooling. "Wow, sister, look, these are all handsome men. They are all the chosen ones of the human race." All the saint beasts were sizing up all the geniuses with a gaze similar to an old drunkard who had discovered 1,000-year-old wine. They were also like mother beasts that were thirsting for soil, wanting to eat all the geniuses. Due to the confinement of a certain human expert, they were trapped in this plane all day long. Occasionally, some mortals would discover the spatial passageway and enter this place. However, those mortals were not even a 10,000th of the saint geniuses in front of them. To them, eating them would have the miraculous effect of breaking through the shackles. Only by becoming stronger would they be able to escape this predicament. The 2 saint beasts with the strongest auras transformed into their human forms and looked the most normal. Their waists were slender like a snake, and their faces were seductive as they licked their lips. "Ha ha ha, I haven't tasted a man in a long time. Get them. Don't kill them, I want to play with them properly. They are all saint geniuses, much more interesting than those mortals. Tonight we will shake the cave until it collapses." The 5 saint beasts in human form swarmed forward. The strongest 2 released 8 billion dragon power points, and their palms were enough to cut off rivers and mountains and crush stars. It was comparable to the perfected 3rd Heaven Sage realm. The remaining 3 had 3 billion dragon power points, which was equivalent to the perfected 2nd Heaven Sage realm. Bang! 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 A great battle broke out, and 3 geniuses were injured in the first exchange. 8 billion dragon power points was simply an absolute power that crushed everyone. The twin geniuses with the title Golden Flame dual swords activated the power of their odd crystals and joined forces to unleash a startling scarlet Milky Way sword light that swept across the sky. The seductive young woman in the form of a holy beast revealed a sinister smile. Petty tricks break. Her palm whistled forward. There was no fancy technique, only endless pure power that was like 10,000 horses galloping forward, sweeping away the mountains and rivers. Bang! 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 The sword light shattered, and the two of them felt a sweetness in their throats as they retreated. Lien Wuxuang released a dazzling Saint Mountain that suddenly pressed down. Lin Haoyu of the Spring-Drunk Sword drew his sword and slashed out 1,000 times in a breath. Ripples of sword marks twisted towards the leopard-faced woman. The Lu Tian 3 suns pointed in one direction, and 3 black tornadoes that were like millstones enveloped a saint beast like a storm that could destroy the sky. There were 7 palm prints imprinted with the word "kill" in the void, and they were dozens of acres large as they ruthlessly crushed the saint beast in the void. What a powerful attack! As expected of the existence at the top of the genius list, they can form such a powerful attack in an instant. While the people on the Red Moon platform were amazed, all the attacks of the geniuses were either shattered into nothingness by the roars, or shattered into pieces by the saint beast's breath. Complete suppression. It seemed like the geniuses had the advantage in numbers, but they were all at a disadvantage once they fought. Although they were at the top of the genius list, their actual cultivation was between 8 to 15 saint points, and none of them were even at the late-stage second heaven sage realm. But in terms of combat power, they were no match for this group of saint beasts. Among all the geniuses present, Lin Haoyu, who had released 2 clones to protect himself, was the most relaxed. The 5 saint beasts worked together and turned the mountains into dust. Everyone on the Red Moon platform was dumbfounded by the surging winds and clouds. This gap is too big, the 2 saint beasts are too terrifying. If we get rid of the 2 strongest saint beasts, maybe they can still fight. But if this continues, all the geniuses will be wiped out in the first round. They will be captured by the saint beasts. Maybe there is still hope. That's Lin Chen. He can fight with Long Yi Jing on the monstrous geniuses list. As long as he goes all out, he will definitely have a chance. That's why I said you are ignorant. The saint Shi of a saint can destroy the heavens and earth, but it is extremely difficult to replenish it. He has only fought with the monstrous geniuses list for a short period of time. Who knows how much energy he has expended? In my opinion, he will be lucky if he has 1/3 of his full strength. Everyone on the Red Moon platform discussed fervently. Even the saints couldn't understand what Fairy Scarlet was trying to do. With her methods, she could send these geniuses into the monstrous geniuses without exposing their whereabouts. Inside the monstrous geniuses plane, the mountains split open. The situation was extremely serious. 7 geniuses had suffered minor injuries, and this was under the condition that the saint beasts were holding back. If they went all out, some of them would definitely be seriously injured. For some unknown reason, Lin Chen suppressed some of his aura to the extreme. When he flapped his holy phoenix wings, he dodged the attacks of the saint beast. Suddenly, Lin Chen transmitted a message to all the geniuses. Everyone, if we don't join forces, we will all be eliminated. Don't hide anymore. I, Marshal Lin, will lead the charge. Let's break through first. In any case, we are not allowed to attack each other in this round. After saying that, Lin Chen snapped his fingers and launched an advanced blue-rank sure-kill skill to interfere with the 2 most powerful seductive women. In a flash, his doppelganger threw 3 rays of golden light in the direction of all the geniuses. Everyone reached out and grabbed. When they opened their palms, they saw 3 long Qingguo. Each of them had 3 long Qingguo. The strangest thing was that the long Qingguo didn't seem to have been tampered with. Its quality was excellent. All the geniuses were stunned. Could it be that Prince Lin Chen was a good person? Chapter 1161. Lin Chen's killing move and long Qingguo surprised the geniuses. What kind of scheme was this kid planning? Did he want everyone to concentrate their firepower so that he could escape in the chaos? Or did he do something to the long Qingguo? While the two doppelgangers were barely holding back a seductive young woman, Lin Chen suddenly shouted coldly. "What are you guys hesitating for? You'll all be eliminated in the first round. At most, we'll work together to break out. You guys run first, I'll be the last. If I act rashly, all of you can just run away." Seeing Lin Chen's sincerity, the 12 geniuses didn't think too much and were skeptical. 7 geniuses chose to consume the long Qingguo that Lin Chen handed over, and their injuries began to heal quickly. Lucky feather. Lin Chen drew his bow and shot an arrow that split into 5, smashing the mountain range and shooting towards the leading sacred beast. "South, break out with all your might," Lin Chen coldly snorted. All the geniuses had finally joined forces. Each of them had their own ulterior motives. Some wanted to use each other, and some couldn't guess what Lin Chen was thinking. Thus, they decided to beat him at his own game and join forces to break out. Everyone formed a straight line and temporarily united their fighting intent. The rules of the assessment didn't allow them to attack each other, so they didn't have to worry about the people around them attacking. The 2 strongest Saint Beasts were slightly delayed by the sure kill skills, and with Lin Chen diverting their attention, the geniuses moved like a straight arrow, breaking through several hundred miles and killing their way out of the encirclement for the first time. "Want to run? You guys have quite a lot of schemes." With a roar, a majestic blood-patterned leopard appeared and slashed out a dragon-like rending blade that enveloped all the geniuses. A faint white dragon shadow flashed. Lin Chen's doppelganger raised his sword and slashed. Sword Fury Sky. 5 orange sword rainbows appeared, and the power of the fire-type odd crystal was pushed to the extreme. It burned with anger and surging pure power as it slashed the rending blade and forced the sacred leopard back. What a good doppelganger technique! Let me test it out. Another holy python appeared. This meant that these holy beasts were serious. Lin Chen's second doppelganger unleashed a flame annihilation and blocked the holy python. All the geniuses were stunned. Fighting so hard, could it be that Prince Lin Chen was really a good person? What are you waiting for? Hurry up and heal your injuries and charge. I still haven't recovered from my battle with the dragon I Jing. I can't hold on for long. Lin Chen, who was at the very back of the group, shouted. Combined with his desperate attempt to stop them, it was quite convincing. Immediately, another 4 geniuses took his long Qingguo. Right now, everyone's priority was to break out of the encirclement. Boom! An ink-colored qilin rose from the ground. Its entire body was filled with vigor and power. It was embellished with black light, and its killing intent was overwhelming. It was one of the 2 holy beasts with 8 billion dragon power points. Blast it! Don't hold back, it's not an ordinary opponent. The geniuses looked at each other, and the power of the odd crystals in their bodies burned up. Waves of destructive power surged out from their saint apertures like a mountain and sea prison, capable of moving heaven and earth. Great flaming sky palm. Golden meteor Big Dipper sword. 7 killing finger. Heavenly reed 3 strikes. Holy light shone brightly. Some ripples turned into sword light, some had the word kill engraved on them, and some had golden light that pierced through the sky. One after another, the rare orange tier ultimate techniques were all executed at this moment. These geniuses had brought out their trump cards. Everyone on the Red Moon platform was dumbfounded. Their hearts trembled. The 12 top geniuses on the genius list had orange-grade combat technique. Each orange-grade technique represented the ultimate technique of an aristocratic family or sect. The female immemorial black qilin roared. Its beast body rose high and pressed down with its palms. Its aura surged like a dragon as it unleashed its 8 billion dragon power points perfectly. Boom! The black qilin took the attacks of the 12 Saint State geniuses head-on and shook half the space. At this moment, no one noticed Lin Chen. All his clones hidden in the dark appeared in front of the 4 Saint Beasts at the same time and stared straight into their eyes. The pupils of Lin Chen and all of his doppelgangers slowly turned into a dark green color. At this moment, Lin Chen's and his doppelganger's eyes were actually jade green. Consumed 12360 intermediate heaven path point. Activated awakening divine ability. Amorous rippling eyes on 4 target. Swoosh. A jade green light shot out from Lin Chen and his clone's eyes and hit the Saint Beast's eyes. The second Saint Beast with 8 billion dragon power points that was still in the form of a seductive young woman immediately reacted and shouted, "Human brat, what did you shoot at me?" Lin Chen smirked. "Why are you in such a hurry? Didn't you want the young man to shoot something at you? Didn't you say you wanted to collapse the cave? What I shot is a treasure. Even if a fairy descends, I guarantee that it will be enough for you." In just 2 seconds after the jade green light shot out, the seductive young woman's face turned red, and her eyes turned jade green. As for the other 3 Saint Beasts, 2 of their eyes turned jade green, and 1 of them turned crimson. Extremely violent restlessness surged in their bodies. Some of their primitive desires multiplied, and some of their bloodthirsty hearts were stimulated even more violently. Amorous rippling eyes targets. 4. 3 targets succeeded. 1 target failed. Those who succeeded will enter the amorous rippling state, and their desires will go berserk. Those who failed will enter the berserk state, and their killing intent will rise and become difficult to suppress. Roar. After a few earth-shattering roars, all the Saint Beasts revealed their true forms. And at this time, in front of the team, because of the sure kill skill, although the Saint Beast had destroyed the attacks of all the geniuses, it had given them an opportunity to escape. Before the geniuses escaped, they saw Lin Chen, who was still in the Saint Beast's attack range, and they couldn't help but sigh. Prince Lin Chen is really a gentleman. What a kind person. He sent us Long Qingguo and helped us escape. If he is free, I will definitely give him a top 10 Outstanding Young Man award. What is he doing? When the geniuses escaped, they saw Lin Chen rushing toward the black qilin that had attacked all the geniuses. Then, with a flash of green light, the black qilin's eyes turned jade green. Lin Chen snapped his fingers, and all the clones disappeared. He smiled coquettishly. Damn it. With a whoosh, the dark tribulation saint aura covered his body. Lin Chen activated the Khanate shadow art and even used the heavenly invisibility rune on himself, completely eliminating his aura. Roar. Men, I want men. The black qilin roared like it was in heat, and its speed increased sharply as it rushed toward the geniuses. Kill, eat. I want to eat the flesh of their Saint Beasts. I want to squeeze them dry. All the Saint Beasts rushed over as if they had gone mad. The geniuses were stunned and hurriedly scattered to escape. Some of the geniuses who were being chased by the Saint Beasts felt their scalps go numb. What the F***ck is going on? They have gone mad, these Saint Beasts have gone mad. But why are they chasing us? Could it be Lin Chen's doing? F***ck. That kid is a cunning old fox. We have been tricked. The geniuses who were admiring Lin Chen earlier all had their mouths twitching as they gritted their teeth. Good guy. Good my ass. Chapter 1162. Everyone on the Red Moon platform was stunned. What's going on? Why did the sacred beasts go crazy? They didn't even hesitate to reveal their true forms to chase after the geniuses. Han Yizhi shook her head helplessly. She could roughly guess that it was the class monitor's doing. In less than 15 minutes, 3 geniuses were sent away with injuries. According to the rules, if they were too injured and gave up, they could immediately give up and teleport away. If they didn't return, their lives would be in danger. The geniuses who were teleported back to the Red Moon platform gnashed their teeth in anger. They were completely fooled by Lin Chen. However, they couldn't figure out what method he used to make the sacred beasts go crazy and only chase after them while ignoring Lin Chen. The sacred beasts were quite intelligent, and their abilities were even more powerful. To make them go crazy or go into estrus? That didn't seem right. Even if it was an aphrodisiac, it would still take some time to refine. Could it be that there's something wrong with the Longqingguo he gave us? There's no problem. The quality of his Longqingguo is extremely good, and it's still healing my injuries. There's nothing wrong with it. While the three geniuses were distressed, the female geniuses on the platform were staring at them with lust and love. Seeing the affectionate gazes of the female geniuses, Lien Wuxuang felt as if he had been struck by lightning. As a saint-level alchemist, he was very clear about the effects of the Longqingguo. The Longqingguo contained the pure aura of a dragon, and its energy was gentle and nourishing. If a man took it for a long time, he would have a chance to obtain the divine weapon Sky-Raising Dragon King Spear. If a man took it for a long time, he would have a strong masculine aura and attract the opposite sex. Dragons were lustful, and this effect was more or less attached to the Longqingguo. Lin Chen had used some unknown method to stimulate all the hungry sacred beasts, causing them to go into estrus or go into a frenzy. Then, he would hide his aura to the extreme and let the geniuses consume the Longqing fruit. The geniuses who exuded a masculine aura and had saint realm talent would become the primary targets of the saint beasts, who were in heat. In this way, Lin Chen didn't even need to do anything, and the sacred beasts would chase after the geniuses. What a good move to divert the calamity, turning a dragon into a phoenix. Lin Chen, oh Lin Chen, your AF*, King Devil. Lien Wuxuang accepted his loss wholeheartedly. Instead, he recalled what Lin Chen had said in the Canon of Alchemy, that he could still reach a higher level. Compared to a real monster, the so-called monster-level geniuses were nothing. Lin Chen turned into a dark shadow, concealing his strength and fame, and flew towards the center of the continent. His mental power was fully unleashed as he searched for the location of the Saint Beast's nest. The youngsters nowadays are still too inexperienced. But if they don't cooperate with me, they won't be able to kill their way out. Lin Chen broke into a palace and released all of his spiritual power. Found it. Is it here? Lin Chen raised his head and saw a blood moon-like jade hanging from the ceiling of the palace. Suddenly, a stream of light flashed by. Lin Chen's body moved with his will, and he suddenly used his movement technique. Whoosh! Lin Chen took the lead and snatched the crimson lunar jade. As expected of the Lin Chen who toyed with geniuses. Interesting. A naturally despicable voice reverberated, and a figure appeared in the darkness. His face was fair, and he was handsome with delicate features. He was originally a handsome guy, but the despicable smile on his lips made people want to beat him up. Oh? One of the legendary four great perverts, Shi Shaoxian? Lin Chen was surprised. He put away the crimson lunar jade and smiled. Am I being underestimated? If you had used your full strength just now, I might not have been able to take the crimson lunar jade. Shi Shaoxian curled his lips indifferently. What's the big deal about the crimson lunar jade? I've got it long ago. I'm just testing your skills. After that, Shi Shaoxian turned a blood-colored jade on his fingertip. Lin Chen's heart skipped a beat. He really lived up to his reputation. This Shi Shaoxian had orange-tier body movement techniques and had a strong foundation. In the chaotic battle just now, he did not use at least half of his strength and was slacking off. Lin Chen's insane speed was all because of Enhance and Ultimate Moment, in addition to his high elemental attribute point. He also had to add a pair of Holy Phoenix wings to reach the speed of an orange-tier body movement technique. It was obvious that there was a huge gap between half-orange tier and orange tier. Even the monsters on the monster ranking might not have orange tier body movement techniques. This was known as the rarest type of cultivation technique. You look quite strong. Do you want to go deeper into this place with me? If there's anything, we'll split it 50-50. Shi Shaoxian made a suggestion. Lin Chen said, Oh? What kind of cooperation? Shi Shaoxian pointed. On the other side of this dimension is the void lightning pool. There might be good treasures in the void lightning pool, but some strange monsters are born in the void lightning pool. It's risky for me to go alone. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows. What if you sell me? Shi Shaoxian said angrily, T. I'm worried that you'll sell me. Lin Chen shrugged and said indifferently, I never lose anything when I do things. You can choose not to cooperate. If you want to cooperate, you'll have to pay a deposit. Shi Shaoxian was stunned. I need to pay a F***king deposit? Lin Chen smiled mockingly. I never do business where I lose anything. Besides, do you think there's a better partner than me right now? Look at those guys outside who are running around like dogs. Shi Shaoxian's mouth twitched. You're ruthless. Shi Shaoxian gave Lin Chen a sage-tier weapon worth more than 100 million Saint Origin coins as a deposit. The two of them set off. Lin Chen summoned the Holy Dragon this time. Although it was injured in the battle with the Dragon Ritual Crystal, Lin Chen, who had the Long Qingguo and Dragon Blood Saliva, helped the Holy Dragon reach a higher level. Now, it was only one dragon vein away from reaching 1 billion dragon power points. Lin Chen and Shi Shaoxian went all the way to the edge of the southwest region. At the center of the region was a rift abyss. The two of them entered the rift abyss, and in less than 10 breaths, Lin Chen felt a wave of lightning that wanted to tear his chest apart. With my current saint physique, it's indestructible. It won't be a problem for me to take a full blow from a saint realm expert. How can I feel such a strong pressure from lightning from such a distance? There must be a treasure inside. Lin Chen raised his spirits and circulated his lightning-attributed Saint Origin Qi to relieve the pressure. The Holy Dragon's body was enshrouded in a layer of azure light, and it resisted the lightning. Shi Shaoxian, who was always smiling, had a solemn expression on his face. 13 Saint Origin Qi glowed brightly as they protected his body. Lin Chen had 10 Saint Origin Qi points, and with the help of the Great Unity Space, his cultivation was comparable to a late Second Heaven True Saint Realm expert with 16 Saint Origin Qi points. His combat strength was comparable to an early Third Heaven True Saint Realm expert. As long as there wasn't a Fourth Heaven True Saint Realm expert inside, he could escape unharmed. Shwa. The two of them dove to the bottom of the rift abyss, and finally arrived at a spatial crack. Lightning crackled within, and the crystal walls were easily torn apart by the lightning. Entering the spatial crack, a dusky world entered their eyes. Everything was gray and the vitality was dim. Lightning bolts slithered around like snakes. Lin Chen's eyes lit up in an instant. This was a void lightning pool, and there were bubbles of lightning with numbers floating around it. Above them, there were numbers like 231, 642, and so on. These were the special attribute points needed to create a surekill skill. These are the special attribute points needed to create a top-grade blue-rank surekill skill. Lin Chen's heart trembled. Chapter 1163. The Holy Dragon wandered in the void and collected a large number of attribute bubbles from the void lightning pool for Lin Chen. There were at least tens of thousands of special attribute bubbles here. Hey, what's that dragon of yours doing? Don't act so brazenly. Shi Shaoxian was scared out of his wits. He was used to sneaking around, so how could he stand Lin Chen's high-profile actions? Lin Chen patted him on the shoulder. Don't worry. What are you afraid of? I'm here. Boom. The thunderclouds surged, and tens of thousands of lightning flashed and condensed into a pitch-black lightning dragon. It stared at the two of them and the Holy Dragon as if it had a mind of its own. Its murderous aura was monstrous, and Shi Shaoxian's hair stood on end. Lin Chen said seriously, Shaoxian, I'll leave it to you. The heavens have bestowed a great responsibility on a man, and it will temper his muscles and bones. I believe in you. I'll take out the treasures inside and share them with you equally later. Shi Shaoxian. Are you still human? Suddenly, the lightning condensed, and the lightning dragon finally turned into a graceful and beautiful figure. She was completely naked, and her facial features were delicate like a budding beauty. Her curvaceous figure made the two of them stare blankly for a moment. The woman covered in lightning threw a coquettish look at the two of them. Her lips curled up slightly, and her whole body released an aura of seeking pleasure. Lin Chen suddenly said, "Forget it. Brother, you go first. This place is too dangerous. I'll bring up the rear." Shi Shaoxian said seriously, "Brother Chen, although you and I have met by chance, I can tell at a glance. You're a person worth treating with all my heart. This time, the enemy has a great ominous cover and is extremely dangerous. I won't shirk my responsibility." Lin Chen said sincerely, "Brother, you've really moved me, but how can I be a coward? If we fight together. If we run together. If we fight together. Let's hack this fierce woman together." Shi Shaoxian nodded heavily. "Okay, in that case, we'll hack her 3 times? Lin Chen said seriously, 3 times it is." After that, the two of them wiped the blood from their noses at the same time. Boom! Boom! The void lightning pool's energy was mobilized. The lightning woman pointed with her slender finger, and endless lightning condensed into dozens of lightning bolts that shot towards Lin Chen and the holy dragon. The destructive power of the lightning was extremely terrifying. Wherever it passed, the spatial crystal walls were torn apart like paper. Bang! 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 The space where the two of them were was shattered into half, and their afterimages disappeared. Whoosh! As expected, the speed of the two of them was extremely fast. The two of them did not face the spiritual body formed by the lightning. Instead, they charged straight into the center of the lightning pool. The lightning woman with long hair that reached her waist stepped on a bolt of lightning and dashed towards the 2 old foxes. The 2 old foxes flashed again and dashed in different directions. This woman was the intelligent form of the void lightning pool. She could control the energy of the entire void lightning pool. Even Lin Chen might not be able to consume more energy than her. Only those in the 4th Heaven True Saint realm, who had reached the cavern augmenting realm, and whose saint caverns could contain as much saint chi as the sun and moon, would be able to go head to head with her. Chi! Chi! Boom, boom, boom! The entire void lightning pool was shaking. The two of them were extremely fast, but they still managed to dodge the lightning spirit's attack by a hair's breadth. In the next moment, the lightning spirit turned around and charged towards Shi Shaoxian. F***ck your grandmother. Why did you take a fancy to me? That guy is more handsome than me. Go and F***ck him up. Shi Shaoxian's scalp turned numb as he dashed away like a bolt of lightning. As he entered the void lightning pool, he immediately activated a cloak-like first-grade spatial saint artifact to escape. Lin Chen heaved a sigh of relief. Perhaps the lightning spirit had sensed that his cultivation was higher than his, so it had eliminated him first. Luckily, this lightning spirit only has basic intelligence and does not know how to control its own strength. If it had the battle consciousness of a 4th Heaven True Saint realm expert, the two of us would not have been able to escape. Lin Chen released the holy dragon once again and frantically collected the special attribute point. Doppelganger, go and save that idiot! Lin Chen released 2 doppelgangers and operated the Dark Calamity Holy Chi. He activated the innate Dark Shadow Art to eliminate the aura and sneak into the void lightning pool. If Shi Shaoxian died, it would not be considered a cooperation and Lin Chen would not sell him out completely. Lin Chen turned into a white dragon shadow and rushed into the deepest part of the lightning pool. In the center was a purple lightning pool. The purple lightning pool was 10 cubic meters in size and the water surface of the lightning pool was pulsing with arcs of electricity, causing the space to distort. The pervasive lightning power made Lin Chen feel a lingering fear. And right above the purple lightning pool, there was a 5-light treasure chest floating. Lin Chen was slightly delighted and grabbed it. Opened the 5-light supreme treasure chest. Host has obtained Low-grade lightning odd crystal, 1000 lightning odd crystal. Lightning odd crystal. Lin Chen was overjoyed. He was lacking lightning, wood, and wind odd crystals. At this moment, the purple lightning pool was filled with special attribute value bubbles as the holy dragon released its dragon body to the maximum. Obtained 1592 points of high-grade lightning energy, 899 points of lightning energy, 722 points of lightning energy. There was a lot of lightning energy here, and the holy dragon took it all in one fell swoop. Lin Chen stared at the purple lightning pool. This is the energy accumulated by the holy thunder. It has completely turned into a substance, and contains a rich amount of lightning attribute holy essence. In the depths of the lightning pool, there was a purple vine. This was the Thunder Saint vine. It was a raw material that was about to transform into a low-grade odd crystal. On the other side there was a thunder sword. The body of the sword was like a fish intestine, 3 feet long and 3 fingers wide. The body of the sword was purple with a hint of green. It was a lightning attribute first-grade holy sword. But this holy sword had been refined by the lightning pool for many years, and its power was stronger than ordinary first-grade holy swords. Suddenly, in addition to the 2 treasures, Lin Chen also saw a faint 5-color attribute light in the depths of the lightning pool. There is another 5-light supreme treasure chest in the lightning pool. Lin Chen was moved. 2 5-light supreme treasure chests. He was going to make a killing this time. Lin Chen first used the innate shadow art to hide his aura to the lowest level. With a thought, he activated the super-dimensional teleportation. Swish! The space flashed and the clone brought Shi Shaoxian to Lin Chen's position. He was a little confused. What kind of spatial secret technique is this? When he saw Lin Chen, he couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. At least you still have some conscience. Look down. Lin Chen's voice echoed in his ears. Shi Shaoxian took a closer look and was moved. Thunder Saint Vine and Lightning Attribute Holy Sword. Lin Chen directly transmitted his voice. The energy in the lightning pool is too strong. I need enough time to go in and get the treasure. My clone will help you delay that guy. After it's done, the Thunder Sword is yours and the Thunder Saint Vine is mine. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying lightning swept over again. It was the lightning pool spiritual body that had come again. Lin Chen didn't wait for Shi Shaoxian to agree and kicked him away. In the distance, the Thunder Spirit's attention was on him, and Lin Chen was hiding in the dark. Shi Shaoxian wailed. Lin Chen, King. Lin Chen smiled and transmitted his voice. Happy cooperation. Shi Shaoxian wanted to cry. Happy my ass. Although that was the case, Shi Shaoxian still obediently cooperated with Lin Chen and continued to attract the Thunder Spirit to other places. Even if it was him, Shi Shaoxian couldn't go down to the lightning pool to get the treasure. He could only leave it to Lin Chen. From the way he used his clone to cover himself, it could be seen that this guy didn't intend to fall out with him. Chapter 1164. At this time, among the dozens of screens on the Red Moon platform, 4 of them were showing the scene of the Void Lightning Pool. It perfectly reflected the situation of Lin Chen and Shi Shaoxian. Sitting in the giant ship, Fairy Scarlet revealed an interested look for the first time. Lin Chen's trick of playing with the geniuses was indeed brilliant, and Shi Shaoxian was not to be underestimated either. Both of them had found the Scarlet Moon Jade in the shortest time possible. I didn't expect them to find the Void Lightning Pool. The lightning spirit inside is condensing wisdom, and its true strength is close to the 4th heaven true saint realm. If these 2 fellows can gain something from it, they are really suitable to complete the task for me. Fairy Scarlet's eyes flashed, and the people on the Red Moon platform clicked their tongues in wonder. Lin Chen and Shi Shaoxian, these 2 insidious fellows, have teamed up. These 2 are not simple. Their movement techniques are at the orange tier. Even saints with 10 saint points higher than them would find it difficult to catch up with them. That's right. That's why orange tear movement technique is the rarest technique. With this technique, it's a life-saving technique. While the geniuses were discussing, the saint's eyes narrowed as they stared at a certain screen. It can't be. Lin Chen wants to enter the center of the void lightning pool. Lightning condenses into a purple color. This is the energy condensed by the saint lightning. This is not a joke. Without the cultivation of the third heaven true saint realm and above, one will be seriously injured or even die if they dare to touch it, inside the void lightning pool. While Shi Shaoxian was attracting the lightning spirit's fire, Lin Chen used all the saint qi in his saint points to cover himself. While maintaining the state of the innate shadow art, he dived into the void lightning pool. The saints outside the Red Moon platform felt their hearts skip a beat. Was this kid really not afraid of death? Or did he have other plans? Rumble, buzz, buzz, buzz. Terrifying lightning struck Lin Chen's consciousness and saint body like a tidal wave, causing his body to convulse and his teeth to chatter. The entire void lightning pool began to boil like boiling water. Lightning flashed, and electric arcs curled around it. Crackle! Bang! 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 The pool of lightning boiled. Lin Chen's entire body exploded. His hair stood on end from the electricity, and his eyes rolled back into his head. His 5 limbs were paralyzed. Oh no, the energy gathered in this lightning pool is too sick. If this continues, I'm going to be in trouble. Lin Chen's spiritual power was as vast as the starry sky. Even if he was electrocuted to the point of dizziness, as long as there was a wisp of spiritual power left, he could instantly think and realize the seriousness of the problem. Even Shi Shaoxian, a second heaven true saint, had no confidence in entering the lightning pool of the void. Lin Chen had underestimated its power. This Lin Chen is going to be in trouble. He has been electrocuted by the lightning pool's energy. His life force will be completely destroyed in a short period of time. He's too reckless. Let's see what Fairy Scarlet has to say. If she makes a move, Lin Chen will be disqualified. The sages shook their heads and jumped into the lightning pool. Even sages with their cultivation levels did not dare to say that they could come out alive. A hint of astonishment appeared on Fairy Crimson's beautiful face. You jumped down without any preparation? Should she say that this Lin Chen was smart or stupid inside the lightning pool? The holy lightning rushed into Lin Chen's body. His head kept shaking, and even his holy qi could not completely resist the power of the lightning. That's right. My clones should refine the 1000 lightning odd crystal. If I can control the lightning attribute odd crystal, my sacred body will not be so easily electrocuted by the lightning. In Qing Shui's plant pouch, Lin Chen activated the remaining 3 clones and used the Tai Sky technique to put the new lightning attribute odd crystal into his sacred point. Boom! Lin Chen's sacred point had an additional wisp of holy lightning. Lin Chen's 9 calamities of creation and Tai Sky technique seemed to be innate mental cultivation methods for controlling odd crystals. There was no rejection or burden when he controlled the new odd crystal. In just a quarter of an hour, it automatically integrated into his body. Obtained 77,800 points of advanced lightning energy. As the lightning attribute value soared, Lin Chen injected his holy qi into the 1000 lightning odd crystal. Whoosh! Boom! When the power of the lightning attribute odd crystal was activated, more than half of the lightning wrapped around Lin Chen disappeared. The pressure on him instantly decreased, and he even felt a trace of numbness. As expected, the power of the lightning attribute odd crystal can assimilate most of the power of the holy lightning. Lin Chen was slightly delighted. His clones refined a large amount of silver sacred origin coins in Qing Shui's plant pouch to provide holy qi for his main body. Then, he continued to transfer it into the lightning attribute odd crystal and continued to activate the power of the odd crystal to protect his body. He began to swim in the lightning pool. The water in the lightning pool was completely accumulated by the holy lightning over thousands of eras. Not to mention tearing space, he couldn't even fly here. Swimming was already Lin Chen's limit. Swimming to the bottom of the lightning pool, Lin Chen pulled out the thunder sword from the bottom of the lightning pool and put it into Qing Shui's plant pouch. Then, he put the thunder vine into the Taoyuan plant pouch. This item was a good treasure for making low-grade lightning attribute odd crystals. He could try to cultivate another lightning attribute odd crystal. After keeping the treasures in the lightning pool, Lin Chen grabbed the second 5-light treasure chest. Opened 5-light supreme treasure chest. Obtained orange talent fragment. Extinction split wound 3/3. The talent has been automatically fused. Please check the talent column. A new orange talent. Lin Chen was ecstatic. It's here. Another orange talent. After instant light split shadow, this was the second permanent orange talent that Lin Chen controlled. Active offensive talent. Extinction split wound. Consume talent points to increase the next attack, with a split wound effect. When injuring the enemy, the injury cannot be healed for a period of time. The duration of the split wound effect is 180 days/90 days/30 days/7 days. The duration of the split wound effect depends on the enemy's cultivation. Grade, low orange. I have a new trump card. As long as I break the enemy's defense and injure them, the injury will continue to exist. During the battle, I can take advantage of the enemy's injuries to continue to accumulate injuries? This is too perverted. It's a killing move for a prolonged battle. Although Extinction Split Wound was not as good as Heaven Defying, it was still a permanent orange talent. Lin Chen believed that as long as he combined it with Instant Light Split Shadow or War God Bracers, he would definitely be able to combine a new killing move. Alright, it's about time to go out. Lin Chen was about to swim upstream when there was a caw sound coming from his body. A brand new power emerged from Lin Chen's body. It was like 10,000 dragons roaring to the sky and shaking the stars. Lin Chen's bones, flesh and blood suddenly had a stronger vitality. He actually broke through. However, it was not his cultivation, but his body refining realm. The flesh shell awakening increased Lin Chen's pure strength by 50%. Lin Chen's 200 million dragon power increased to 300 million dragon power. Now, he had broken through to 400 million dragon power. With the awakening effect, he had 600 million dragon power. It's because of the lightning pool. I was focused on fusing with the odd crystal just now and didn't pay attention to the flesh shell sacred body. It hovered between life and death several times before finally being tempered by the lightning pool and reached a new realm. Lin Chen licked his lips excitedly. The lightning pool can temper the body? I've struck gold. Could this be the legendary electric therapy? Ha! Chapter 1165. What's going on with Lin Chen? Is he crazy? This guy even snuck in? Is this guy tired of living? I'm thinking that he's younger than my sister. Is there something wrong with his brain? The geniuses and sages of the Red Moon platform were stunned and surprised. This guy was electrocuted until his eyes rolled back and he almost died. Even Fairy Crimson had almost teleported him out of this place. It wasn't easy for him to move, but he still snuck in? Fairy Scarlet raised her slender finger and stared at the lightning pool in the void with interest. Interesting, a new odd crystal emerged when the flesh shell saint body reached its limit, and it's a lightning odd crystal. This kid is very useful. After saying the last sentence, Fairy Scarlet stared at Han Yizhi. I heard that Han Yizhi and he are old acquaintances. If he can pass this assessment, he might be able to sneak into that woman's side. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the Red Moon platform. What's going on? F***CK. My eyes are about to go blind. What is this Lin Chen doing? Crazy? Is this Lin Chen really crazy? The sages even stood up abruptly, looking as if they had seen a ghost. Lien Wuxuang opened his mouth wide and was instantly dumbfounded. The rows of female geniuses covered their faces with their hands, blushing as they peeked at a light screen at the edge. The faces of Fairy Scarlet's remaining 4 beloved disciples were dyed red, and some of them spat. Even the coldest and most arrogant female genius couldn't help but reveal a trace of astonishment. Han Yizhi, who was on the opposite side of the platform, coughed a few times, her ears slightly red. At this time, on the light screen at the edge, the young man took off his clothes, leaving only his underwear on. His chest was exposed, and his refined muscles showed a linear curve. His hair stood up and electric arcs jumped. He was soaking in the lightning pool, lying on the edge of the pool with his hands, looking comfortable and lazy. Electric arcs were running all over his body, causing him to tremble slightly. The corners of Lin Chen's mouth curled up into a coquettish arc, and he sighed. Comfortable. Hey, this lightning pool electric therapy massage is very comfortable, and it even has the effect of lightning tempering the body. It's hard to find such a good place even with a lantern. Everyone on the Red Moon platform was dumbfounded. Even Fairy Crimson was stunned. This Lin Chen was actually bathing in the void lightning pool? Many people felt their scalps go numb and a chill run down their spines. He was actually soaking in a pool of lightning energy that was strong enough to destroy a 2nd layer or even 3rd layer saints. Are you kidding me? Boss. You're here to participate in the examination, not to take a vacation. He was even enjoying himself in the lightning pool. A sparkling and translucent bead of sweat streaked across his handsome face, and then it slid down to his well-defined collarbone. Some of the young female geniuses looked like delicate peaches, and their cheeks were dyed red. They spat lightly from time to time, wanting to look at him with disdain. Lin Chen's lazy and comfortable soaking appearance was a stark contrast to the other geniuses who were being chased by sacred beasts that were in heat or had gone berserk. This stark contrast in their encounters seemed to be telling everyone that even if he, Lin Chen, could not attack others, he still had all sorts of ways to kill others. A monster-level genius who had once entered the tomb of the sacred king muttered to himself, "Is there no one in this world who can stop this man from continuing to flirt?" Previously, he danced on the tomb of the sacred king, and now he's soaking in the void lightning pool. However, the next moment, Lin Chen took out an exquisite golden wine pot, poured a cup of fine wine brewed with clear jade dew, and placed a fruit bowl on top. On top of the bowl were colorful, sparkling and translucent longqingguo, red gold vine, and dragon blood saliva. Lin Chen took out a flying knife from his waist and used it as a fork to cut the vine. He elegantly cut open the red gold vine, dipped it in some dragon blood saliva, and put it in his mouth to chew and swallow slowly. Then, he casually picked up a string of longqingguo. While his body was trembling from the electricity, he raised his head and opened his mouth, swallowing all the longqingguo into his stomach. He casually crossed his legs in the lightning pool, exposing his legs from above. He didn't forget to calmly raise his cup and take a sip of the fine wine brewed with clear jade dew. Looking at Lin Chen, who was crossing his legs, holding a cup in one hand and eating the fruit in the other, many experts couldn't help but blurt out, "Damn it, why was he so flirtatious?" Looking at his smug look, did he lack a beautiful woman to accompany him in the pool? "I'm so angry, he's so annoying. Why is he wearing pinru underpants? I suddenly feel like hitting him. How did this person survive until now without being beaten to death?" A cyan-robed young master gritted his teeth in anger. The 2 monster-level geniuses who had entered the clear sky Saint King's tomb looked at each other and patted the cyan-robed young master's shoulder at the same time. They said helplessly, "Get used to it. We were all flirted with by him like this." After the longqingguo and dragon blood saliva entered his mouth, it helped Lin Chen's strength increase even more. The solid lightning saint origin condensed by the holy lightning tempered his flesh and blood. The dragon blood saliva contained a large amount of dragon blood essence like dragon blood and flesh, containing the energy to move mountains and fill seas. It entered Lin Chen's flesh and blood. Originally, the dragon blood saliva was a sacred body refining item that Lin Chen had prepared for the holy dragon. After all, with his physique, it would take a long time to refine the dragon blood saliva. This was because the energy of this item was domineering, unlike the gentle energy of the Long Qingguo. However, this time, the dragon blood saliva and red gold vine were accidentally tempered and attacked by the power of the holy lightning, speeding up the fusion of the two treasures into Lin Chen's body. The Long Qingguo healed and nourished his body, the dragon blood saliva increased his strength, the red gold vine increased his defense, and the holy lightning tempered his body and increased his body refining power. At this moment, Lin Chen's pure strength increased explosively. This was the most terrifying breakthrough in his flesh and blood ever since he started refining his body. Host has received 2,813 lightning energy points, 2,880 high-grade health points, 5,620 high-grade health points, 2,920 high-grade health points, 1,259 lightning energy points. The system continued to play like crazy. While Lin Chen received the holy lightning's energy to temper his flesh and blood, he also received a small amount of lightning saint origin to fuse into his saint acupoints, obtaining even more lightning energy. His pure strength increased from 600 million dragon blood essence to 700 million, 800 million, and an endless stream of pure strength exploded like a geyser, unstoppable. Rumble. Before Lin Chen had even soaked in it for a quarter of an hour, the entire lightning pool erupted with an earth-shattering aura. Lin Chen's vitality increased by several levels, reaching a whole new height. Lin Chen actually broke through the barrier of 1 billion dragon blood essence at a speed visible to the naked eye. Some of the sages and geniuses who had been eliminated finally noticed the abnormality, and their jaws dropped in shock. What a domineering aura! Did that fellow break through to the next realm? This isn't a breakthrough in cultivation, but a refinement in his flesh and blood. So this fellow has been using the lightning pool's energy to temper his body. This is 1 or 2 levels stronger than some of the body refinement maniacs this old man has seen before. Could it be that he has broken through to 1 billion dragon blood essence? 1 billion dragon blood essence? My God, isn't that comparable to a first heaven true saint in terms of pure strength and killing power? Using the lightning pool to temper his flesh and blood essence. He's really handsome on the outside, but bold on the inside, Lin Chen replied. I've already lost contact with him in the lightning pool. Chapter 1166. Fairy Scarlet's 2 beautiful disciples covered their red lips with their hands, their beautiful eyes sparkling. He's actually using the void lightning pool to refine his body? Oh my God! This is too overbearing. What kind of mental cultivation method is he cultivating? It can actually resist the energy of the void lightning pool and refine his body at the same time? Both of them were alchemy grandmasters, especially when it came to refining pills to refine the body. Lin Chen's cultivation method was no different from suicide to them. Fairy Scarlet's opinion of Lin Chen went up a notch. This kid's actions seemed absurd, but there was actually a hidden mystery. He was really as magical as the legend said. No one could guess what he was going to do. In the void lightning pool, Lin Chen's bones, flesh and blood were overflowing with a faint reddish-gold color. Using this void lightning pool to refine his body, Lin Chen had absorbed a lot of red gold vines. The pure defensive power of his flesh shell would be stronger than that of experts of the same level. Lin Chen initially needed to use the power of the odd crystal to resist the energy of the void lightning pool, but slowly, he only needed to use the thunder tribulation holy chi to resist it. In the end, he only needed to resist it, and the efficiency of refining his body increased. Lin Chen, how much longer do you need? I can't hold on any longer. One of your clones is dead. At this moment, Shi Shaoxian screamed. He was crushed by the Void Lightning Pool's thunder spirit. If not for his movement technique and years of experience in escaping, he would have died long ago. Wait a little longer, I'm coming out soon. Lin Chen lazily transmitted his voice, and everyone on the Red Moon platform didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Shi Shaoxian was completely tricked by Lin Chen. After another quarter of an hour, Shi Shaoxian screamed again. Oh my god, my second brother! Wow, it's all burnt. Lin Chen, what the hell is wrong with you? If you can't handle it, I'll leave. Your clones are all dead. Lin Chen chuckled. Soon. Just wait for another minute. Maybe I'll be out in the next minute. Lin Chen was almost done. The Void Lightning Pool's energy was no longer as stimulating to him. He even felt a little numb. There was no harm at all. Lin Chen nodded, and it's about time. My flesh shell has developed a large amount of resistance to lightning. Adding to the fact that my body refinement realm has increased, the lightning pool here has very little effect on my flesh shell. F***CK. What the hell are you doing? Shi Shaoxian rushed over angrily. When he saw Lin Chen soaking in the bath, he was completely stunned. The next moment, he roared angrily, F***CK. You F***king tricked me. I'm dying, and you're massaging me here? Lin Chen shamelessly laughed and said, Sorry, it was too comfortable. I couldn't help myself. After that, Lin Chen threw the fish intestine thunder sword to Shi Shaoxian. Shi Shaoxian caught the sword and exclaimed subconsciously, Good sword. With the condensation of the lightning pool energy, its power is comparable to a second-grade lightning attribute holy sword. At least your character isn't too bad. In theory, the value of this holy grade lightning sword was higher than the Thunder Sage Vine. The latter could only be used as a raw material for the lightning attribute odd crystal, and was not a real lightning attribute odd crystal. If it was forcefully taken away, it could only be regarded as a rare treasure at most and not the value of a low-grade odd crystal. It was just that Lin Chen had the method to cultivate it into an odd crystal, so in Shi Shaoxian's heart, he still profited. But compared to Lin Chen's actual gains this time, a lightning attribute holy sword was simply not worth a mention. A new orange-grade talent fragment, low-grade lightning attribute odd crystal, and lightning pool body refinement, all of them were far more valuable than the lightning attribute holy sword. This time, Lin Chen's gains were too great. To put it bluntly, it was much greater than breaking through the 11th sacred point and advancing to the second heaven sage realm. His pure strength soared to 1.4 billion dragon power points, and due to the awakened power of the flesh shell, his pure strength was 2.1 billion dragon power points. Just the lethality of his pure strength was comparable to the mid-second heaven sage realm. Previously, when Lin Chen exploded his acupoints and became a saint, the opponents he faced were more terrifying than the previous one, which caused his pure strength to not have any outstanding effect. At this moment, if Lin Chen were to use this terrifying pure strength to support his battle techniques, the explosive strength would increase the lethality of his attacks by several folds. Especially combat skills that relied on pure strength, their power would increase exponentially. Boom boom boom. The space shook and thunder roared. Shi Shaoxian immediately put away the lightning sword and waved at Lin Chen. I'll leave first, our cooperation ends here. You settle it yourself, the power of that lightning spirit is simply inexhaustible, I won't accompany you. After speaking, Shi Shaoxian transformed into dozens of afterimages and disappeared in an instant. Unexpectedly, not only did Lin Chen not leave, but his battle intent soared to the sky. Clang! Lin Chen unsheathed his blade, and the azure moon in his hand shone with a mysterious blue light. That was the light unique to the +12 upgrade. This can't be right? Lin Chen isn't planning to run? Could it be that he wants to fight that terrifying lightning spirit? That's impossible. Even if his body refinement reached the second heaven sage realm, it's impossible for him to fight against a tenth of the lightning spirit. Could it be that he's going to take out his trump card to kill a fourth heaven sage realm expert? The geniuses and saints on the Red Moon platform stared at the screen without blinking. The lightning spirit lady pointed her finger, and 10,000 streaks of lightning appeared behind her. Thunder rumbled, and the lightning clouds seemed to listen to her command as they gathered behind her. In an instant, blinding streaks of lightning shot out from the clouds. Chi! Chi! 8 streaks of purple lightning streaked across the sky like lightning dragons. Every single one of them was several hundred zhang thick, and in an instant, they pierced through the void and the blue dome of heaven. Lin Chen's remaining 30 million points started to dwindle when he entered the lightning pool. Boom! Endless water calamity light soared into the sky. The 10 saint points and 10 Great One saint points all injected their saint power into the water-type odd crystal. At this moment, the blade light skyrocketed. Lin Chen's pure strength exploded, and with a wave of his arm, he slashed out with his blade. Mirror Moon Imperial God. Whoosh! A dazzling and beautiful mirror moon blade light was like the flowing light of the moon, mixed with pure strength that pierced through the space crystal wall. Buzz! The moonlight blade that was as bright as a mirror and as bright as the moon trembled and split into 5. Outside the Red Moon platform, except for Fairy Scarlet and Han Yizhi who could see this blade, everyone felt that the world was illuminated by the moonlight for an instant. Rip! Boom! The moonlight that streaked across the surface of the water cut through all the lightning dragons, and the 30% penetration power blew up the lightning fragments. What? Shi Shaoxian, who had just escaped, was dumbfounded. This guy is still hiding his strength. He actually dares to fight the lightning spirit head-on, extremely ferocious. We can't afford to provoke him, let's run. The geniuses on the Red Moon platform sucked in a breath of cold air. That blade was close to perfection, and it had integrated all of Lin Chen's strength. It directly erupted with power comparable to the early Third Heaven Sage realm. Lin Chen exhaled excitedly. Finally, I crossed that line. Chapter 1167. Lin Chen sighed inwardly. It's really hard to break through to the true saint realm. Even if I break through to the 10th saint acupoint and double the strength of my saint acupoints, I won't be able to unleash an attack at the 3rd heaven true saint realm without using the 9 tribulations star and the 2 orange rank secret art. As long as I use the instant light split shadows, any half-orange ranked battle technique will be able to unleash an attack at the 3rd heaven true saint realm. Using 10 saint points to unleash the lethality of 21 saint points was something unimaginable for the top 100 geniuses of the genius ranking from millions of years ago, let alone being able to achieve such a feat. Without a doubt, Lin Chen was one of the weirdest first heaven true saints. The lightning spirit lady was stunned. Even though it was a casual attack, she hadn't expected a puny human like Lin Chen to break through it. Rumble! Heavenly lightning rumbled, threatening to destroy the world. The lightning spirit gathered all the energy in the lightning pool, and the entire realm started to tremble. That lightning spirit is going to use all the energy in the lightning pool. Only a 3rd heaven true saint realm expert would be able to withstand this attack. It's not something that can be blocked by that blade. Fairy Scarlet stared at Lin Chen with interest. Oh? You want to fight me to the end? That's exactly what I'm thinking. Lin Chen's battle intent soared. There was a high number of attribute bubbles in the lightning spirit's body. As long as he could get his hands on it, he would have enough attribute points to create a top-tier blue rank technique that could threaten even a 4th heaven true saint realm expert. Consumed 410,000 enhancement points. God's Tears plus 13. Overall power increase, 240%. Automatic upgrade complete. Consumed 32. 21 million enhancement points. Host has 10,000 enhancement points remaining. Unable to upgrade any further. The first orange-ranked battle technique to reach plus 13. Ha ha ha. Lin Chen threw his head back and roared with laughter. Good. I expected it to reach plus 12. Who would have thought that I would be lucky enough to get it to plus 13? Chi. 10,000 bolts of lightning rumbled through the sky. The Thunder Spirit Woman thrust out her hands, and a massive purple thunder kirin appeared. It was formed purely from the power of holy thunder, and it madly charged towards Lin Chen. Rumble! The moment the lightning kirin formed by the holy lightning bolts charged forward, the entire lightning pool shook. Lin Chen held the blade with both hands and took a deep breath. His Saint Acupoint injected a huge amount of Saint power into the light wheel odd crystal, and he slashed vertically. The saber light exploded, and aurora illuminated the world. Lin Chen slashed out a rapidly spinning aurora saber energy. The power of this saber strike pierced through the continental plates. This slash contained a vast amount of spiritual energy. Consumed 13,500 intermediate talent points. Host has activated Orange Talent, Instant Light, Split Shadow, Annihilation. It was Lin Chen's first time using destruction, and it was a rare combination of two orange talents. The rapidly spinning blazing saber energy suddenly trembled. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The saber chi split into 5. Wherever it passed, it twisted the lightning and annihilated thousands of thunderbolts. Bang! With 5 explosions, the saber chi exploded. The jade-like pieces of saber chi were like a rain of flowers. Every single piece of saber chi contained a spiritual power that could move the stars, a pure strength that could pierce through the sky, and a sharpness that could pierce through everything. Everyone on the Red Moon platform was stunned by this peerless saber strike. Even the sages were dumbfounded. The scene of the crystal-clear saber chi spinning at an extremely fast speed was like a scene in the mortal world. It was magnificent, but there was endless killing intent hidden in the beauty. Bang! 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 Tens of thousands of saber chi fragments bombarded the vast and majestic thunder kirin in an instant. Countless fragments of saber light sputtered, and the thousands of thunderbolts were completely shattered and twisted into lightning sparks that filled the sky. The sages' hearts trembled. Broken? This powerful lightning attack that was comparable to a third Heaven Sage Realm perfection stage was actually broken by Lin Chen, a first Heaven Sage Realm? How terrifying was A plus 13 God's Tears? If one were to use the value of all of Lin Chen's half-orange grade combat techniques as an example, they would be worth 15 million points. With the addition of Charge, Penetration Rune, Assault, Ultimate Moment, and Enhance, the increase would be around 16 to 19 times. In total, the value would only be between 240 million and 285 million points. The basic value of God's Tears was around 300 million points. If the host could shatter his pure strength and spiritual energy into saber chi fragments, the value would be even higher. With this basic premise, Enhance plus 13 would increase the power by 240%, and the value would be more than 1 billion points. Doubling the power of a half-orange grade combat technique and doubling the power of an orange-grade combat technique were two completely different concepts. They couldn't be compared at all. Even 15 million x 50 wouldn't reach 1 billion points. In other words, even if the Mirror Moon Imperial God was 50 times stronger, it wouldn't be able to surpass the plus 13 God's Tears. Not to mention that Lin Chen had already reached the highest level of God's Tears. His pure strength, spiritual energy, and sacred power could shatter all at once, and the value would be far higher than 1 billion points. With this increase, coupled with the power of the odd crystal and the instant light split shadows, the destructive power would be 2 realms higher than a third Heaven Sage Realm cultivator. With the Thunder Kirin destroyed, the naked lightning spirit woman finally revealed a trace of instinctive fear. She used the sacred lightning to protect herself and tried to retreat. However, the endless saber energy fragments that were as beautiful as broken jade were like the most terrifying storm in the mortal world. They were extremely fast, and after destroying the Thunder Qilin, they carried an aura that could destroy all things as they struck the Thunder Spirit Woman. Bang! 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 The Lightning Spirit Woman's defense was broken by dozens of saber chi fragments, and the sacred lightning energy in her body was quickly drained. She was shocked and tried to use the lightning pool's energy to heal her wounds. However, she was even more shocked when she realized that her wounds couldn't heal. This caused her power to be drained quickly, and she couldn't recover. This was the effect of the orange talent annihilation rupture. Shwa! With a flap of the holy phoenix wings, Lin Chun appeared in front of the lightning spirit like a ghost and grabbed it. Ing! The lightning spirit let out a cry of fear, but Lin Chun quickly transmitted his voice. Listen to me if you don't want to die. Otherwise, I'll make you disappear from this world. Lin Chun grabbed it tightly and threatened it fiercely. The lightning spirit seemed to understand and nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Lin Chun opened its mouth at lightning speed and fed it a wanderer fruit and a long kingwo. No one from the Red Moon platform noticed. Once the wanderer fruit and the long kingwo entered his body, the two mysterious energies began to circulate. Host received 2 million Heavenly Thunder Dipper points, 239,000 points, 1,300,000 points. Special attribute bubbles kept falling out of the lightning spirit's wound on its waist. As its power continued to decrease, Lin Chen's special attribute values continued to soar. Finally, after the lightning spirit's energy had decreased by more than half and its power had decreased by 70%, Lin Chen cancelled the effect of annihilation rupture. This talent could be deactivated at the host's discretion. At this time, the lightning no longer appeared, and a beautiful and fresh woman was reborn. She had flesh and blood, snow-white skin, a dress, and long hair that reached her waist. She was a living person. Lin Chen said seriously, "It's very difficult for great power to transform you into a real life. This is also the path that has been hindering your progress. How about it? Give up your power to me and become a real life. It's not a loss, right?" Everyone from the Red Moon platform sighed in amazement. This Lin Chen's methods were getting more and more amazing each time, but, if you want to talk, why don't you remove your dog paws from the girl's body first? The beauty said shyly, "Thank you, young master. It's not a loss, it's not a loss. It's just that, young master, can your hands move away from my body?" Lin Chen came back to his senses and scratched his head. He smiled and said, "About that I'm sorry. I'm used to it. It's not a loss." Chapter 1168. In the future, you will be a complete life form. You can cultivate here or leave if you want. With your strength, ordinary true saints won't be able to hurt you. That's all, I'll be leaving. Lin Chen waved his hands at the long-haired maiden as he flew towards the direction of the lightning pool. The beautiful maiden's eyes gleamed as she stared at his departing back. "Thank you. I will remember you." She would forever remember the young man's back and face in her heart. Inside the abyss-splitting tunnel, Lin Chen was laughing like a 250-gene fatty. His heart was filled with joy. The harvest this time is huge. I really want to thank Shi Shaoxian. His body refinement breakthrough is so terrifying. In the future, when I use the War God's Vambrace, I can try to use more pure strength. Although the consumption of the set's essence will be faster. If I use all my clones, without 6/3 Heaven True Saints, they won't even be able to eat this young master's fart. Lin Chen's confidence grew stronger and stronger. Although Lin Chen had the War God's Vambrace, it was his last resort. Without the set's essence, he wouldn't be able to use it for the time being. Just like the absolute life and death talent, it was his final trump card. I have to seize the opportunity to obtain more enhancement points and orange rank technique. With 2 orange rank talents in my hands, even the slightest increase in my attack power will be a qualitative change. After returning to the testing space, Lin Chen wasn't in a hurry to leave. He chased after the geniuses in the space and did nothing but pick up attribute points. He collected every attribute ball that dropped without fail. The difference in cultivation between him and these geniuses wasn't too big. Although they wouldn't drop any attribute balls in battle, they might be injured. After squatting for 2 days, Lin Chen picked up over 100 high-quality attribute balls. He even sent his clones to sneak attack the holy beast. His main body stayed far away from the battlefield. The sacred beast's final counterattack was no small matter. The sacred beasts here were far more powerful than the ones in the sacred king's tomb. They had enough intelligence, enough fighting skills, and powerful bloodline divine ability. 2 sacred beasts with 3 billion dragon power points could easily crush the dozens of sacred beasts in the sacred king's tomb. It was just like how a second heaven true saint could easily crush a first heaven true saint. Both sides were on completely different levels. Even Lin Chen had to be careful of their counterattack. At the cost of losing one of his doppelgangers, Lin Chen had killed 3 holy beasts and obtained a huge amount of high-grade vitality points and elemental attribute points. Lin Chen did not waste anything. He had the holy dragon swallow the bodies of the 3 holy beasts and refine them along with their vicious beast cores. The next time the divine dragon comes out of seclusion, his dragon veins should be able to exceed 100 million. I wonder if his dragon energy will be able to reach the level of my main body. However, the highest growth limit of a 10,000-year profound Azure Dragon's bloodline is rank 8 beginner. After being strengthened, it will increase by more than 4 times, which means that his dragon energy should be around 40 billion. Lin Chen fell into deep thought. The growth limit of the Holy Dragon was based on the highest bloodline. The Holy Dragon had the bloodline of the Great Flame True Phoenix, so its growth limit was far beyond 40 billion dragon power points. However, the bloodline ability was different. For example, if the Holy Dragon controlled 100 billion dragon power points, then the power of the Aeon Cyan Light would only be around 40 billion dragon power points. If he used the Great Flame Prison, then he could perfectly unleash the destructive power of 100 billion dragon power points. Bloodline ability was limited by the limits of the bloodline. Unless Lin Chen gave up on the Azure Dragon and Winged Dragon's abilities in the future. Looks like I'll have to find a chance to visit the Dragon Tribe. According to Tuo Xing's records, the Dragon Tribe in the Sacred Boundary has tens of thousands of branches. There's bound to be an ancestor of the Azure Dragon and Winged Dragon. Also, I have to find the ancient Taishi Dragon's dragon blood and open the Dragon God's blood jade. Just as Lin Chen was still wandering around, he was teleported out of the secret realm and back to the Red Moon platform. What's going on? Didn't they say the test would last for half a month? Lin Chen was stunned. However, he discovered that pairs of strange eyes were staring at him. Class monitor. Han Yizhi secretly transmitted her voice. You attracted the attention of all the holy beasts to the other geniuses. They didn't even have the chance to find the Scarlet Moon Jade before they were all eliminated. Huh? Lin Chen was amused. So he was the one who took the blame? It's all your fault, you bastard. What kind of trick did you use to defeat our 3 senior brothers? Otherwise, they would never have been eliminated. Our 3 senior brothers are the strongest. Outside the Red Moon platform, a blue-clothed girl pointed at Lin Chen and cursed. Lin Chen looked at the blue-clothed girl calmly. A deadly sense of crisis immediately made her pupils shrink. She trembled and lowered her head, not daring to look at Lin Chen again. I don't care about your senior brothers. I didn't violate the rules. If you don't agree with me, you can come and find me, Lin Chen, at any time. Lin Chen patted the dust off his shoulders in a relaxed manner. This girl was just a 5th Tribulation Battle Emperor. Although she was on the genius ranking, she didn't even have the right to speak in front of Lin Chun. After becoming a saint, the difference between a battle emperor and a saint was like the difference between heaven and earth. A saint could suppress a battle emperor with a single glance. Killing an ordinary battle emperor was something that could be done with a mere thought, let alone Lin Chun. Fairy Scarlet spoke. There were some unexpected situations in this assessment, but no one violated the rules. So far, only 4 people have obtained the tokens. It's not good to hold the second round of the assessment. Even a genius of the saint realm like Lien Wushuang could only shake his head and smile bitterly. Damn it! Who asked them to be so unlucky to encounter such a weirdo like Lin Chun? This guy never did things according to the rules and common sense. Crimson Moon Palace has always been fond of music and poetry. I haven't returned to my hometown for many years, Fairy Scarlet sighed faintly. Her beautiful face revealed a hint of sadness, which made many men feel sorry for her. Their hearts trembled. Fairy Scarlet had something on her mind. Well, the second round of the assessment is cancelled. The 4 of you who passed the assessment will compose a poem. Whoever performs better will get the candidate token. What do you think, young Master Han Iji? Fairy Scarlet turned her beautiful eyes and looked at Han Iji. Everyone was stunned. Compose a poem? Who would have thought that Fairy Scarlet would do such a thing? The competition for a candidate token of the genius ranking was decided by composing a poem? This was too unexpected. In fact, it was not that Fairy Scarlet did not want to take the assessment, but because of Lin Chen's existence, she could not find a better assessment at the last minute. In terms of combat strength, means, and foundation, Lin Chen was obviously better than everyone else. No matter what assessment there was, almost no one could stop him. If there was an assessment at the last minute, it would be somewhat unfair to the other geniuses. Shi Xiaoxian and the other 2 geniuses seemed to understand Fairy Scarlet's intention, and their eyes lit up. Before Han Iji could express his opinion, he answered first. I agree with composing a poem for the final round of the assessment. What's so good about fighting and killing? We who have power should be kind and avoid harm. Whether it's something or not, we should do good deeds. Young Master, he and I think the same. Haha, I also think this is a good topic. The geniuses of the Saint Realm who were eliminated in the first round sneered at the 2 of them. Damn it, aren't you just afraid of Lin Chen? Your words are better than the last. Chapter 1169. Monitor, are you sure? Han Iji was a little worried. She recommended Lin Chen to come here because she knew the content of the test in advance. She thought that Lin Chen could pass the test with his strength. She didn't expect that the content of the test would be changed. Lin Chen didn't transmit his voice, but the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Han Iji understood and nodded to Fairy Crimson. Fairy, you have made up your mind. I have no objection. Everyone was relieved. Finally, they didn't have to face Lin Chen, the monster. Then I'll go first. The long-haired young master, he walked out slowly. When he smiled, his dimples appeared. He looked delicate and exquisite. His sword-like eyebrows were straight. His face was like a pile of snow. His figure was tall and slender. He was gentle and elegant. His every word and action had charmed many girls. He was ranked 433rd on the genius list. His talent was rare. He came from a 6th grade sect and was favored by the god of the Green Territory. He had long admired Fairy Crimson. His comprehensive strength was stronger than the other geniuses in the first test. Fairy, you just missed your hometown inside. Then I'll answer the question of lovesickness. Child, his delicate face was entranced. He was like a young boy in the countryside who was worried about his first love. There was a hint of longing and worry in his eyes. He got into the role quickly. If he was an actor, his salary should be at least 200 million. Lin Chen was amazed. He stared at Fairy Crimson, his eyes full of admiration and love. When the flowers bloom in the first month, I still see fairy crimson thinking of the old moon. There is a limit to the ends of the earth. Only lovesickness is endless. Everyone listened carefully and sighed in their hearts. Wonderful. Fairy Scarlet nodded slightly. Then, it was Shimin Shue's turn. He had a handsome face and an imposing appearance. His bones revealed the arrogance of an elegant and noble young master. There was also a heroic spirit between his eyebrows. Some young talented girls were overjoyed when they saw him. It was as if they saw a noble young man in armor going to the battlefield. Shimin Shui was ranked 477 on the genius ranking. She was born in a rank 6 aristocratic family. Her aristocratic family was the combined power of several large merchant associations. She was a super genius born with a golden spoon in her mouth. He gracefully bowed to Fairy Crimson and said, "Now that I've seen Fairy Crimson, I know what it means to be a peerless beauty in the world. I'll also use lovesickness as my topic. 10,000 pieces of gold are used to buy a person's appearance. Who are you expressing your feelings for? Since ancient times there has always been love infatuation. Don't hate the wind and the moon." Shimin Shue's voice was clear and steady, revealing a resolute and decisive charm. His words, "Spending 10,000 gold to buy a face is as good as writing a poem," had moved many people. Everyone knew that he came from a wealthy family, and many geniuses couldn't even compare to him. They didn't expect him to have this kind of conviction because of a strand of longing. This made many people have a whole new level of respect for him. This Shimin Shui is basically telling the truth to Scarlet Fairy. He's really a man. He's not ambiguous at all. In terms of determination, Shimin Shui is a little more manly. In terms of the overall situation, young master, he is better. Neither of them are ordinary people. The winner may come from the two of them. What's the background of Shi Shaoxian and Lin Chen? One of them is a pervert, a man who focuses on women. As for Lin Chen, although he's a celestial being, he's still young and inexperienced. In the saints' world, martial arts is the mainstream. Poetry is just a subsidiary. I don't think the two of them can stand out here. The sages exchanged glances and made a high judgment in their hearts. Fairy Crimson was expressionless in the face of Shimin Shue's confession, but she gave him a look of appreciation for his performance. It was Shi Xiaoxian's turn. This person still had that annoying smile on his face. As soon as he appeared, he was spurned by many women. What kind of ink can a thief have? Shi Xiaoxian, don't make a fool of yourself. Why don't you go home and think about your 36 bridal chamber moves? If you publish a book, I'll definitely subscribe to it. The geniuses who were eliminated in the first round mocked and ridiculed Shi Shaoxian. Humph! A bunch of snobs. Shi Shaoxian proudly puffed out his chest, tidied his collar, and looked serious. Everyone was curious. Could it be that this pervert really had ink? Shi Xiaoxian's expression showed some affection and reminiscence as he said loudly, "The bright moon shines above the sea, and we share this moment from the ends of the earth. Lovers complain about the distant night, and they miss each other at night. Heartless does not taste the bitterness of love, and 1 inch turns into thousands of strands." As soon as he finished speaking, the red moon platform fell silent. Many people's mouths were slightly open. Was this guy a romantic? Shi Shaoxian stared at Fairy Crimson, and a look of reminiscence appeared on his face. That year I was 18 and she was 18. I met her at her most thirsty age. That night I was behind her and she was in front. That day I was on the surface of the sea and she was in the sea. She taught me calligraphy and the philosophy of yin and yang. Seeing the fairy's face today, I can't help but recall that night with the bright moon above the sea. The corners of everyone's mouths twitched. Sure enough, he was that Shi Shaoxian. Pfft. Lin Chen laughed out loud. This Shi Shaoxian was really a talent. Fairy Crimson commented calmly. He is a talented man. Finally, after exclaiming that this Shi Shaoxian was also a talent, everyone looked at Lin Chen. The first three had performed very well, and their artistic conception was very similar. How would Lin Chen perform? If he forced himself to compose a poem, it would be very difficult for him to win. When the geniuses saw that Lin Chen seemed to be suppressed, they were secretly happy. Who told you to be so arrogant in the first round? Why can't you be arrogant now? Ah! Suddenly Lin Chen laughed. Bootlickers get everything in the end. Lin Chen glanced at the three geniuses just now. Young master, he said with a fake smile, oh? Our great prodigy Lin is exasperated. Did he break the pot? Shimen Shui smiled and said, Brother He, how can you say that? How can Brother Lin Chen break a broken pot? In my opinion, Brother Lin Chen must have thought of an eternal poem, an eternal poem. He has the confidence to suppress everyone present. Don't you think so, Brother Lin Chen? I can't wait to see it. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell what Shimen Shui meant by can't wait. He couldn't wait to make a fool of himself. Han Yizhi was a little nervous. Although she knew that the class monitor had always been able to turn the tide, he had never done any research or performed outstandingly in poetry. Moreover, last-minute preparation was useless against these geniuses. Shimen Shui, you really have good taste. You even know this. I really do have an immortal poem, and I have the confidence to win this time's Demon List candidate token. The victory this time belongs to me. Lin Chen said with a smile, which made people even more confused. Did he not have a draft for bragging? Come, bring me a brush and ink. Lin Chen waved his hand domineeringly, and the corners of his mouth rose crazily. His calm and absolute confidence that he had everything under control puzzled everyone. Where did this kid get his confidence from? Could it be that he had such a monstrous talent in martial arts, and also had such a high attainment in poetry? Chapter 1170. Fairy Scarlet's beloved disciple, Yi Qingyun, came in the fog. Her clothes fluttered like the clouds, like a fairy floating in the clouds. She landed beside Lin Chen and laid out the 4 treasures of the study for Lin Chen obediently and elegantly. Yi Qingyun raised her beautiful eyes and stared at Lin Chen affectionately. She was wearing a light yellow dress, like a fluttering butterfly in the cloud valley. Her figure was plump and exquisite, fresh and refined. Her cherry lips moved slightly, and she secretly transmitted her voice to Lin Chen. Young master, you don't have to force yourself. The poem is just an accessory. Young master's strength has already let the world know of young master Lin's foundation. A small poem will definitely not affect young master's future. Please don't feel pressured. Lin Chen winked at her frivolously. His expression was full of frivolity, as if he did not take this matter to heart at all. The beauty's heart palpitated. If Lin Chen could not pass the first stage, according to the rules, he could still choose the fairy's disciples as his concubines. None of Fairy Scarlet's disciples were easy to deal with. Yi Qingyun seized the opportunity to get in touch with Lin Chen first, wanting to leave a good impression on him. With Lin Chen's talent, no one present could be compared to him except for Han Yizhi. If she could get his favor, it would be better than any other genius. Yi Qingyun was smart and knew this well. When they saw Yi Qingyun retreating to the side, everyone was looking forward to it. They were extremely curious about what kind of wonderful poem Lin Chen could write. The saints stared at him, as if they wanted to see through all of Lin Chen's secrets. Even Fairy Scarlet could not help but feel a little curious. Lin Chen raised his brush and channeled a wisp of holy qi, causing the space around him to distort and blur. The holy light was dense, and the tip of his brush shone brightly, making it impossible for anyone to see clearly. In an instant, Lin Chen raised his brush. The tip of the brush dipped in ink and waved quickly. His strokes were vigorous and powerful, like dragons and snakes dancing. The brush stopped and the paper rolled. The speed was so fast that it didn't even take a breath, causing everyone to be stunned for a moment. Lin Chen used his saint energy to cover up the jade slip, so that they could not see it clearly. By the time they reacted, Lin Chen had already closed the jade slip, and saint energy circulated around it, so that no saint could pry into its contents. Why is Your Excellency Lin Chen being so secretive all of a sudden? Could it be that you have no confidence in yourself? Young master, he opened his mouth to mock. He was just about to ruthlessly humiliate Lin Chen. Poetry is not a contest of martial art. Since ancient times, there has been no first place in literature and no second place in martial arts. Everyone's understanding was different. He had already made preparations today. No matter what kind of poem Lin Chen came up with, no matter how amazing it was, he would use his life's knowledge to ruthlessly slap Lin Chen's face. That's right, Lin Chen. Don't tell me you're scared? Are you regretting now that you've bragged too much? If you're a man, then show it. What kind of man are you if you keep hiding? You can't even be compared to Shi Shaoxian. I knew it. I once read an ancient book that said that people who brag don't use their brains. It's obvious that little brother Lin Chen is a living example. Everyone ridiculed Huang Xiaolong, as if they didn't care about the matter at all. It was as if they had forgotten that the young man they were mocking was an existence that had slaughtered several fourth heaven true saints. Brother Lin Chen, don't be so stingy. Don't tell me you have no confidence in yourself? Shimin Shui chuckled, and a carefree look appeared in her eyes. Facing the crowd's questioning, Lin Chen smiled indifferently and said, "Since it's an immortal poem, it naturally surpasses the ancients and dazzles the contemporaries. Mortals like you can only appreciate the charm of an immortal poem. Apart from this handsome guy and the cute little Iji, only someone like Fairy Scarlet is barely qualified to read this handsome guy's ancient poem. Those who aren't handsome enough aren't qualified to appreciate this poem." Impudent. Fairy Scarlet is barely qualified? What do you take this place for? I think this kid is deliberately mystifying things. He's an arrogant person. Fairy Scarlet, please suppress this arrogant person. Everyone was enraged, and Fairy Scarlet slowly raised her hand. Everyone, please be quiet for a while. Why don't you let me see what's so profound about this poem? Just now, Sir Lin Chen said that I'm barely qualified, right? Fairy Scarlet's voice was very soft, as if she wasn't angry at all. She stared at Lin Chen with a meaningful gaze. Hearing this, everyone immediately changed the topic. Then, Fairy Scarlet, please read this arrogant piece of work first before announcing the result. Yes, we won't doubt Fairy Scarlet's fairness. We just hope Fairy Scarlet won't be too kind to this arrogant person. From the crowd's cheers, it was obvious that Fairy Scarlet's reputation in the southern border was very high. Fairy Scarlet's beautiful eyes turned to Lin Chen. Are you okay with this, Sir Lin Chen? Lin Chen shrugged. If it's you, you're barely qualified. You have to be mentally prepared when you read my poem. I'm not those two bootlickers over there. There are only two fairies I recognize, and they're not you. Everyone resisted the urge to beat this guy up. Lin Chen opened his hand, and Yi Qingyun took the jade scroll shrouded in holy light. Then, she respectfully presented it to Fairy Scarlet. On the giant ship, Fairy Scarlet took the jade scroll. The holy light melted a little, and her delicate hand spread out the jade scroll. Fairy Crimson had seen the contents of the jade slip. Fairy Scarlet, who had always been calm and elegant, suddenly had a slight change in expression. Her beautiful eyes flickered a few times, and a trace of shock appeared on her peerless beauty. Her expression was rarely moved. Rumble! In an instant, the wind and clouds changed, and the crimson moonlight shrouded the sky like a bright moon rising, illuminating the entire red moon platform. Fairy Scarlet's holy power leaked out a little, causing the pressure on many people present to increase sharply. Her disciples all turned pale. They had never seen Fairy Scarlet lose her composure like this. Everyone was shocked. In particular, the sages who knew Fairy Scarlet were even more incredulous. In their knowledge, although Fairy Scarlet's temperament was charming and delicate, she had always been the type of person who would remain calm even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of her. What kind of poem did Lin Chen compose to move someone of Fairy Scarlet's level so much? When young Master He, Shimen Shui, and the others focused their gazes on Lin Chen again, they saw him looking up at the sky at a 45-degree angle and sighing deeply. Back in the day, I was a romantic and elegant man in the celestial realm. I wrote poems and made merry, flirting with countless girls. You mortals don't understand. At this age, this handsome guy has endured too much pressure that doesn't belong to me. Sigh. Is this God's punishment for being handsome and talented? Damn it, this guy is really shameless to the extreme. You even brought up the celestial realm? That's a world that only exists in legends. If you're from the celestial realm, we'll all eat *T upside down. But no one could figure out what kind of poem this guy had composed to move Fairy Scarlet so much. Was it really as magical as he said? Did this poem originate from the legendary celestial realm? Wasn't this nonsense? Chapter 1171. Lin Chen's move had left everyone dumbfounded. One could say that he was bragging and shameless, but Fairy Scarlet's situation was obvious to all. Shimen Shui couldn't help but ask, "Fairy Scarlet, this poem is—" Fairy Crimson closed the jade slip with her jade-like hands, and her heart was in turmoil. When she looked at Lin Chen again, there was a different charm in her eyes. She said seriously, "Prince Lin Chen's poem is really unprecedented. It should only exist in the heavens. I wonder if I can carefully treasure it and savor it in the future." Lin Chen snapped his fingers and smiled. "Of course, no problem. I won't care if you curl up in bed and read it." Fairy Scarlet seemed to understand Lin Chen's meaning. She said softly, "Thank you, young master." Young master, he was a little mad. He hurriedly said, "Fairy Scarlet, what poem is this? Can you broaden our horizons?" Fairy Scarlet shook her head. "No, I won't go back on my words. I announce that Prince Lin Chen has passed this assessment and will be a candidate for the monster list. The rest of the geniuses can also choose my favorite disciple to be my concubine." Everyone's scalps went numb. They were completely stunned. Fairy Scarlet's announcement was a little tough and determined. She didn't even ask Han Yiji for permission. It was as if Lin Chen was destined to win. He won? He won just like that? What the F***ck is going on? Without us knowing anything, Lin Chen won just like that? Shimen Shui could no longer maintain her composure. She scolded Lin Chen, "Lin Chen, if you have any amazing poems, you must hide them. Why can't you let everyone enjoy them together?" "I've already told you the reason," Lin Chen shrugged and said jokingly, "you're not handsome enough. You can't understand this poem. Only a handsome guy like me and the most handsome boy sitting over there at the sacred boundary are qualified." The corners of most people's mouths twitched slightly. Han Yiji covered her mouth and chuckled. The big stone in her heart had been completely put down. Class rep is really amazing. What kind of poem is it? Even Fairy Scarlet was stunned. Han Yiji was curious. Based on his understanding of the class leader, this might not be a poem. Whoosh! Fairy Scarlet flipped her slender hand, and a token appeared in her palm. She then passed it to Lin Chen. All the geniuses looked at the candidate token with envy. Apart from the top 100 geniuses, anyone who wanted to participate in the 10-year Holy War could only collect 3 candidate tokens. Those who won the Holy War would be able to enter the list of candidates for the Genius List and gain most of the rights equivalent to those on the Genius List. Fairy Scarlet's grand banquet ended with a result that exceeded everyone's expectations. Many geniuses sighed as they left, unwilling to accept the outcome. Damn it. In the end, we still can't see what kind of poem Lin Chen wrote. Why is it so mysterious? Even Fairy Crimson is moved to such an extent. I'm afraid this is truly a wondrous poem. It's normal for this kid to stand out. Think about it. He's someone who even dares to touch the tiger butt of a holy king. There's nothing he won't do. No one questioned Fairy Scarlet's decision. With her status and reputation, no one would dare to refute her even if she directly handed the candidate token to Lin Chen. Young Master He and Shimin Shui each chose a concubine, which made others envious. Unexpectedly, Shi Shaoxian didn't choose a concubine. Instead, he left directly. This was simply not in line with his reputation as one of the 4 great obscenities. Yi Qingyun stared at Lin Chen resentfully. She didn't expect him to meet her master's eyes with a meaningful gaze. So, he came for master. My charm is still not as good as master's, Yi Qingyun sighed faintly. As they left, some of the saints were surprised to find that Fairy Scarlet had invited Lin Chen onto the ship. A secret meeting? Or a commission? Han Yizhi was arranged to be in another secret room on the ship. Inside a boudoir on the Scarlet ship, the space was completely sealed. With Fairy Scarlet's means, even a 5th-level saint couldn't enter under the premise that she sealed the space. In the boudoir, Lin Chen and Fairy Scarlet sat opposite each other. Lin Chen's jade slip was on the table. When the jade slip was opened, the content written on it was not some ancient poem at all. Instead, there were 4 big words: "You are not human." The 4 big words "You are not human" were vigorous and powerful, without the slightest hesitation or stagnation. It all showed the courage and confidence of the writer. That's right, this was the secret of Fairy Scarlet that Lin Chen controlled. Lin Chen had a habit. Wherever he went, as long as there was a saint, he would try his best to activate the stealing omen to steal attribute points. However, when he first met Fairy Scarlet, the stealing omen had failed to activate. Fairy Scarlet's cultivation was indeed very powerful, but it was not so powerful that Lin Chen couldn't steal attribute points from her. At that time, the system only gave him one answer: unable to steal attribute points from plants of providence. Fairy Scarlet was not a human. She was actually a spirit plant of providence in human form. This secret, when Lin Chen first saw it, he was shocked beyond compare. A spirit plant of providence in human form? From the level that Lin Chen had come into contact with, this was simply impossible. At least, it was impossible for a middle-grade spirit plant of providence. A 6th-grade aristocratic family had a middle-grade spirit plant of providence. Lin Chen only knew a little about the records of this item, so it was impossible for it to transform into human form. It was even more impossible for it to transform into human form and have the strength of a high-level saint. Spirit plants of providence and odd crystals were divided into low-grade, middle-grade, high-grade, supreme-grade, and supreme-grade. Lin Chen had never come into contact with a high-grade spirit plant of providence. Such a peerless treasure was at least in the hands of a 7th-grade or even higher giant. In other words, Fairy Scarlet was at least a high-grade spirit plant of providence. Fairy Scarlet's pair of beautiful eyes stared at Lin Chen. A faint killing intent flashed in her eyes, but there was even more shock and doubt. There were only a handful of people who knew about the secret of her true identity, and some had even died. If she continued to hide, perhaps no one in this world would know about her. How did this young man find out? What was the purpose of this young man? Was it just for the candidate order? Why was he here? To what extent did he know about her secret? Where did he come from? What was his purpose for revealing her secret this time? Did it mean that he wasn't afraid of her? Countless questions lingered in Fairy Scarlet's mind. This was the first time in so many years that she felt a trace of panic. She didn't know Lin Chen's origin, so she didn't touch Lin Chen for the time being. If she wanted to kill Lin Chen, it would only be a matter of a few breaths. The question was whether he had passed on her secret to a third party or more people. This secret involved her life. Once exposed, it would instantly cause a war in the Green region and even more regions. Suddenly Lin Chen laughed. He smiled in a relaxed manner and even asked Fairy Scarlet with a smile on his face. "Fairy Scarlet, am I handsome?" Fairy Scarlet was stunned. The next moment, she forced herself to calm down and smiled sweetly. Her smile was charming. "Of course, young master is very handsome. You're so handsome that I'm a little flustered." Chapter 1172. Lin Chen estimated that he would not be a match for Fairy Scarlet even if he used the war god's bracers. He was also trying to cross the river by feeling the stones. He would do anything for the Genius List candidate token. "Young master, can you tell me how much you know about my secret?" Fairy Scarlet's voice was like a hazy mist, trying to charm Lin Chen. Lin Chen's clone had swallowed 2 wanderer fruits in Qingshua's plant pouch, so that Lin Chen could maintain a high level of mental clarity and was not affected at all. He smiled and said, "Not much, not much. You can put away your killing intent. As long as I'm fine, your secret is absolutely safe." Fairy Scarlet saw that Lin Chen's eyes were clear and as firm as a rock. She thought even more highly of him. She put away all her pretense and asked seriously, "What is your purpose? How do you know my secret?" Lin Chen crossed his fingers and placed them at the tip of his nose. His eyes were deep as he said calmly, "Don't try to find out what I'm capable of. You can't imagine it. I'm only here for the Genius List candidate token." Fairy Scarlet said, "How can I trust you?" Lin Chen pointed at her and said, "Tell me your purpose. If people know that I'm eating meat without paying, they will naturally suspect me. I just want to cooperate with you." Fairy Scarlet was surprised and suspicious. "You're still in the mood to cooperate with me?" Lin Chen shrugged. "I can't guarantee that I can complete it." Fairy Scarlet looked at him deeply. According to the agreement, the person who obtained the Genius List candidate token did have to complete a task for her. This task was the reason why she had been preparing for so long. "I want you to disguise yourself as a Saint Stage slave and enter the barbarian realm. As a slave, you can sneak into the territory of the illusory heart dragon and wait for an opportunity to help me destroy something." Fairy Scarlet took out a blueprint with an 8-sided, exquisite crystal engraved on it. "This is the illusory heart stone. Since you already know my secret, there's no harm in telling you. It's the last item I know of in the sacred boundary that will expose my identity. As long as I get close to it, the aura of my true body will be exposed." Lin Chen suddenly said, "The current you shouldn't be your main body, right?" Fairy Scarlet smiled and did not deny it. Taking a step back, if Lin Chen exposed her secret, she could also become someone else. The real threat was still the illusory enchantment stone. She continued, "The illusory heart dragons have been in decline for a long time, and this item is the last of their race's heritage. The illusory heart dragons like handsome men and beautiful women of the human race, so it shouldn't be difficult for you to sneak in with your abilities. Once we're done, I'll give you a mid-grade plant of destiny seed. What do you think?" Ever since she found out that Lin Chen knew her secret, Fairy Scarlet had been prepared to change her identity. Middle-grade plant of providence seeds? Lin Chen's eyes lit up. The value of this item was not inferior to a complete orange-grade cultivation method. "It's a deal." The two of them hit it off immediately. They drew up a contract on paper and a blood contract. Lin Chen suddenly asked, "Oh right, what's a spirit plant of destiny? Or rather, what's providence? Why is it that I've searched through many ancient books and ancient secret manuals, but none of them clearly state the principle of how a spirit plant of destiny absorbs providence to produce silver saint origin coins and a large number of cultivation resources?" Lin Chen looked straight at Fairy Scarlet. He had searched many ancient records, but he had never really touched on this secret. The sacred boundary had a vast history, but it could completely seal this secret. This was very strange. It was as if the secret of why a spirit plant of destiny could produce cultivation resources was deliberately covered up by some existences. Perhaps it was best for Scarlet Fairy, who was a spiritual plant of Providence, to answer this question. When Fairy Scarlet heard this question, her beautiful blue eyes flashed a few times, and after a few moments, she said solemnly, "Providence is something that mortals can't touch, so they think it's an illusory thing. The thing that can affect the life of any living being is precisely Providence. Providence is not illusory. It really exists. To be more precise, Providence is a limited resource. It exists in this world, and has always maintained the operation of the world." Fairy Scarlet's words were so shocking that Lin Chen was stunned. Providence was a kind of resource? Whether it's the sacred boundary or the mortal world, it doesn't matter. When a person's providence reaches its limit, it will be difficult to advance in this life. It's the same for saints. When their providence is exhausted, saints will also fall under the passage of time. In the end, when a saint or a saint beast falls, the providence they obtained from heaven and earth will be returned to the world. Providence will become a new resource, transformed into other cultivation resources through spirit plants of destiny or other method. Speaking of this, Fairy Scarlet's delicate body trembled slightly, and a touch of unconcealable fear appeared in her beautiful eyes. Providence is more like a creation created by some masters to balance or control the resources of a world. When the resources of this world are always in a state of control, unexpected existences will not be born. Lin Chen was silent. Many years flashed through his mind. The stick I obtained from the clear sky Saint King that produces the seeds of spirit plants of destiny must be related to the secret of providence. At least from the perspective of the energy that can be used to fill it after the fall of a saint, it is very consistent with what Fairy Scarlet said. After the fall of a saint, the providence they obtained will be returned to heaven and earth. Lin Chen did not dare to rashly take out the stick for Fairy Scarlet to study. Lin Chen did not have enough strength to protect himself. Rumble! With a loud bang, the crimson ship shook violently. The spatial enchantment protecting the ship shattered in an instant. The two of them narrowed their eyes. "Hand over Lin Chen, or the ship will be destroyed and everyone will die." Fairy Scarlet looked at Lin Chen, who shrugged. "Maybe it's my enemy?" Han Yizhi rushed into the room, her small face solemn. "Class monitor, the situation is serious. 2 groups of people have come, and they are all powerhouses. Fairy, I happen to be going to the Dragon Clan next. These troubles..." Lin Chen raised an eyebrow. Fairy Scarlet nodded. "It's okay. If there are enemies, I will block them for you." Outside the ship, the sky was clear and boundless. The saints of the southern border were trembling in fear. This time, 4 powerful auras had descended. They were at least at the 5th heaven saint realm. Lin Chen and the other 2 appeared. Fairy Scarlet's dress was as delicate as fire, and her skirt fluttered like clouds as she stood proudly at the bow of the ship. In front of the ship were 3 dark figures. They were cold and sinister, and their baleful auras were so strong that even ordinary saints did not dare to look directly at them. Lin Chen was even more surprised when he looked up. A huge shadow hand stretched out from behind the ship and firmly grasped Fairy Scarlet's spatial ship. The 3 captains of the 9 Shadows Assassins? Fairy Scarlet's beautiful eyes narrowed. With just 3 5th heaven saint realm experts, you want to snatch someone from my hands? You overestimate yourselves. Fairy Scarlet's aura shook, and the entire spatial ship stabilized. The people on the ship looked as if they had just survived a disaster. She glanced at the shadow hand behind her from the corner of her eyes. The aura of that creature was the strangest. Chapter 1173. I've long heard of Fairy Scarlet's great name. You're indeed as beautiful as a fairy. The esteemed guest behind us wants this brat's life. Don't seek your own death. The old man with a walking stick standing in the black fog laughed sinisterly. Fairy Scarlet was unperturbed. Cut the crap. I'll protect this brat today. None of you can touch him. Then I'll have to ask for your advice. Friend over there, our goal is the same. Suppress this woman first, then snatch Lin Chen. The three assassin captains communicated telepathically. The giant black hand condensed into a black-robed man with a cold face. He completely ignored the three captains and charged towards Lin Chen to grab him. His 5 fingers swept across the void, crushing the entire sky into pieces. Even the 3 captains were shocked by his strength. Demons and monsters scram. Scarlet waved her sleeve, and the moonlight cut off the dark aura in the void. God's stealing omen successfully activated. Consumed 8,993 talent points. Stolen attribute points. 30,000 high-grade dark energy points, 50,000 heavenly path points, 50,000 rune energy points, 30,000 cultivation technique essence points. Just as Lin Chen activated God's stealing omen, Fairy Scarlet grabbed his shoulder. Before she left, she sent a telepathic message to Lin Chen. Don't forget our cooperation. You owe me a favor for blocking the enemy for you today. Silver light flashed on her jade fingers, and Lin Chen and Han Yiji suddenly disappeared. I'd like to see what ability you have to capture people here. Fairy Scarlet raised her slender hand, and an exquisite red light shrouded the sky. The crimson moonlight rose in a radius of 500 kilometers, causing all the enemies to look solemn. This woman's strength is so terrifying. It's beyond our expectations. A great battle of the ages had broken out. Southern border, Qinghai. Tens of thousands of kilometers away from the Red Moon platform, Lin Chen and Han Yiji were teleported here. Lin Chen's eyes were slightly solemn. The assassins from 9 Shadows should be sent by the Een Son of Heaven. What's that black thing? It looks a bit like the Dark Shadow Clan. Class Monitor, be careful. Han Yiji's 5 fingers streaked across the void, and her palms struck the sky. Chi. Bang bang. The 2 spiritual palms collided in the void, causing the sea to churn and waves to roll. Fairy Scarlet really did send you out. In the end, she still wants me to deal with you. Long Yi Jing stepped out of the crack in the void and smiled faintly. He hadn't left yet. Lin Chen raised an eyebrow. So it was you who spread the news. Even though Lin Chen's performance in the sacred Burial Mountain range was world-shaking and had exposed many secrets, the sacred boundary was as vast as the starry sky of the universe, so it wasn't easy to spread the news to the ears of some true supreme experts, not to mention rushing to the south so quickly. There were definitely some people with monstrous authority who added fuel to the fire. Lin Chen, I know you are a tough nut to crack. I don't plan to fight to the death with you. If you know what's good for you, give me the arm guard you used in the sacred Burial Mountain range, and I can let you go. Otherwise, you will have more trouble in the future. As long as I want to use my power on the Demon Genius list to keep an eye on you, countless experts will come knocking on my door. Long Yi Jing seemed to have grasped Lin Chen's weakness as he spoke. Suddenly, Lin Chen said calmly, Long Yi Jing, you have crossed my bottom line. I didn't want to bicker with you at first, but now I have changed my mind. I will take your life. Clang. The azure moon appeared, and Lin Chen held a saber in his hand. His domineering aura surged. What a joke. You think you can take my life? You're a dog who refuses a toast only to drink a forfeit. As Long Yi Jing sneered, the space behind him fluctuated, and another person appeared. I already said that this kid is an ignorant fellow. Just crush him to death. What's the point of talking nonsense with him? The newcomer carried a sword on his back. His gaze was sharp and his face was handsome. He wore a green robe and looked like an elegant gentleman. However, there was a strong murderous aura between his brows. Han Yiji's expression changed slightly. It was Xiao Jing from the Demon Genius list. 2 peerless demons from the Demon Genius list had come today? Just for Lin Chen, who was on the Demon Genius list. This kind of battle was rare. Leave Han Yiji to me. You focus on dealing with Lin Chen. Xiao Jing smiled faintly and suddenly drew his sword. The sound of the sword was like a coiling dragon shaking the sky, piercing through the sky. The four of them faced each other. Han Yizhi sent a voice transmission to Lin Chen. Class monitor, focus on breaking out of the encirclement. I have my own way of escaping. I will stall one of them and then create an opportunity for you. There are less than 7 months to the Holy War. As long as you participate in the Holy War and become a candidate for the Demon Genius list, they will be helpless. Don't expose your whereabouts before that happens. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, Han Yizhi's starry eyes glowed with a strong spiritual power, raising her cultivation to a new height. She swept her finger and pointed at Xiao Jing. Xiao Jing quickly waved his 3-foot-long sword. The holy sword's radiance was like a crescent moon that slashed down and cut off Han Yizhi's spiritual power. The battle between the two of them was triggered. One was on the Demon Genius list, and the other was the first on the Demon Genius list. In addition, Han Yizhi had completely crushed the previous first on the Demon Genius list. Even Xiao Jing couldn't determine the winner in a short time. System Kill Move. Activated Blue Rank Kill Move. Heaven Burning Purgatory Fire. Target locked, 2 people. The fiery clouds churned, and the crimson fiery light was like a storm that reached the heavens and the earth, sweeping over the 2 people's heads. Long Yi Jing and Xiao Jing had to activate their holy qi to defend themselves. The pressure on Han Yizhi decreased slightly. 8th Transformation. Ultimate Moment. The holy phoenix wings spread out, and Lin Chen entered the state. All his holy points were enshrouded in holy light, and the vast aura was long and deep. The 7 odd crystals on his body made Long Yi Jing's mind focus. It's only been a few days, but this kid's holy points are completely filled with holy qi. He even refined another odd crystal. What kind of monstrous growth speed is this? A battle between saints was purely a waste of resources. After the previous battle, even Long Yi Jing was only at 90% and wasn't at his peak state. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 5 streams of light appeared and Lin Chen's clones appeared. End the battle quickly. Don't give him a chance. Long Yi Jing's shoulders shook, and the 7 thunder odd crystals exploded. The holy lightning gathered in his right arm like 1,000 dragons of lightning. Hidden lightning killing claw. With a flash, the huge claw of the thunder shadow tore through the sky and headed straight for Lin Chen. This attack had 80% of Long Yi Jing's power, and it wasn't weakened by the clones like before. Ordinary moves can't block it. Since that's the case, break for me. The light odd crystals shone brightly, and Lin Chen drew his sword and slashed. A rapidly spinning aurora blade aura flashed out from the azure bright moon blade and split into 5. Chi. Boom. The blade aura exploded, and the blade aura fragments filled the sky like a rain of flowers. The destructive power of pure strength and the shattering of spiritual fluctuations suddenly twisted towards the lightning claw. Boom. 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 The endless explosion shattered the lightning claw, but the remaining force of the lightning claw still penetrated and attacked Lin Chen. The clone was already prepared. He raised his sword and slashed, Sword Fury Sky, which split into 5 sword rainbows. Another doppelganger drew his bow and shot out a ray of light. The 4 consecutive shadows cut through the void, and the dragon-shaped spear chi converged into a single spear, controlling all the attacks. With a boom, the remaining power of the Thunder Claw was crushed into nothingness. What? Long Yi Jing was shocked. How did this kid improve so quickly? Chapter 1174. Sluggish Rune. Lin Chen shot out a sluggish rune that contained 10,000 points of runes. It exploded above Long Yi Jing's head, and the space around him froze. In that split second, Lin Chen flapped his holy phoenix wings and used Dragon Flash to break out of the encirclement. He used the innate shadow art to disperse the aura around him. Trying to run? Spatial Guide. Long I Jing crushed a spatial talisman, and the space within 1,000 miles was sealed by a spatial barrier. This was a spatial guide that the Grand Elder in his family had refined. Anyone below the fourth heaven true saint realm wouldn't be able to escape. Lin Chun took out a small silver sword and shot it in the direction of the enchantment. Chi! Bang! The moment the barrier shattered, Long I Jing's expression changed. This brat has a spatial sword? I won't let you go so easily. He broke through the sluggish rune's restriction and charged towards Lin Chun. Whoosh! His 4 doppelgangers blocked the dragon's ceremonial crystals as they activated their innate ability, absolute shadow flying daggers, feathers of auspicious light, true dragon dance, heavenly sword fury, and many other ultimate technique. After being enhanced by the instant light split shadows, their strength was comparable to that of an early or mid-third heaven true saint realm expert. A flurry of attacks enveloped Long I Jing. Heavenly Guide, Lightning Break. Lightning rumbled as Long I Jing slashed out with his sword. When the lightning sword was unsheathed, the projection of the lightning sage appeared above his head. He made a sword-slashing motion, and lightning flashed. Chi! 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 Bang! Long I Jing's sword broke through all the clones' attacks. Not only that, the projection of lightning filled the sky, and sword chi spread out for thousands of miles. 3 of the clones were destroyed. Not only had he destroyed their attacks, but he had also killed 3 early-stage third heaven true saints at the same time. Long I Jing had brought out his true strength to chase after Lin Chun. Holy lightning appeared on his sword, and he slashed towards Lin Chun's main body. Whoosh! The 5th doppelganger appeared above his head, and the 9-colored starlight in its palms spun slowly. Then, the doppelganger threw it at the top of his head. Long I Jing was shocked. His family's elder had perished under this 9-colored star. It seemed to be Lin Chun's trump card, and its power far exceeded the power he had displayed that day. It was comparable to that peerless blade from before. Solitary thunder! Long I Jing swung her sword again, sending out a snowflake-like lightning sword chi. It spun like a wheel and slashed towards the 5 9-colored stars. Whoosh! Rumble! The 5 9-colored light pillars were sliced apart, and the aura of destruction returned to silence as it was devoured by the lightning. It was truly the appearance of 10,000 lightning bolts, and all living things were silent. Has Lin Chun grown to such a level? Even the dragon ritual crystal was forced to use this move. Xiao Jing's heart sank when he saw this scene from the corner of his eye. Part of his strength is restricted by the sure kill technique, but he can still break my 9 tribulation star with one sword and ensure that he is unharmed. Is this the original strength of the demon leaderboard? Lin Chun was about to mobilize his strength and use God's tear again when something strange happened in the peach blossom plant pouch. Rumble! Demonic aura filled the sky, and a dark shadow appeared. Countless demonic shadows entered Lin Chun's body through the peach blossom plant pouch. His phoenix wings turned into dark demonic wings, and his silver robe became a dark shadow in the night. 2 dragon horns grew from his head. At this moment, Lin Chun was like an unparalleled demon king. He didn't look like a human at all. This is Little Dark Shadow's aura. Has this little guy finally come out of seclusion? Lin Chun was ecstatic. With a flap of his demonic wings, Lin Chun entered the void and traveled thousands of miles in an instant. He was like a shooting star. What? They were dumbfounded when they saw Lin Chun's speed increase countless times. Even Long I Jing couldn't catch up with him. At this moment, in the south, tens of thousands of miles away, the black-robed man was horrified. This aura. Has the Lord arrived? However, he soon realized that the target was far away from him. No, something's wrong. This aura is still too weak. It's not the Lord. But there's no doubt that it's a creature from the same lineage as the Lord. How can there be a second heaven-defying existence like the Lord in this world? Could it be that There's a second ultimate dark shadow in this world? The black-robed man wanted to force his way out of the encirclement and fight. When he entered the void, he was slapped out by Fairy Crimson. D*Eminent, where did this woman come from? Could it be that she knows more about space travel than the Dark Shadow tribe? The black-robed man was furious. Fairy Crimson smiled faintly and said, "You're underestimating me if you want to chase someone in front of me." Outside the saint's world, there were countless planes and stars. Dangers, fortuitous encounters, brand new, unknown worlds, or races that had been hiding in the cracks of space could be hiding in them. In a certain plane of the void, several old wills were communicating. I didn't expect this day to come so soon. Yes, the day when Her Majesty receives the inheritance of the last ancestor is just around the corner. Her Majesty is the hope of the demon-human tribe. Her talent is unparalleled. At the age of 16, she inherited the inheritance of countless ancestors and became the only queen of the demon-human tribe, the only empress. As long as she receives the final enlightenment of that ancestor, our empress will become the strongest in this world. Ha! Bring down the gods of the human tribe. The only flaw is that we haven't found and killed the star of hope of the human tribe. Our tribe's divination master has deduced that the human tribe will definitely have a shocking son. The strength of his destiny can even affect the general trend of the demon-human tribe. Her Majesty's clone has infiltrated the human tribe for many years without success. Perhaps this prediction is not accurate. No matter what, Her Majesty's divine technique has reached great success and is twice as fast as expected. She can attack the human tribe before the star of prophecy appears. In the dark void, a beautiful and exquisite figure sat cross-legged with her beautiful eyes closed. Once I inherit the memories of that ancestor, my strength will rush to a realm that no one in the demon-human tribe has ever reached. However, it is very likely that I will lose my memories. Lin Chen, will I forget you? The beauty sighed faintly. Hundreds of twists and turns. 7 days after the great battle in the southern border, in a dark hall, a handsome and cold-horned young man stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were as deep as the abyss. A baleful aura enveloped the entire space. Whoosh! A dark shadow descended, streaking across the sky like ink. The youth narrowed his eyes and slowly turned around. When he saw the black-robed man return empty-handed, the murderous aura between his brows suddenly soared. When the black-robed man was about to speak, the horned youth grabbed horizontally with his 5 fingers. An extremely strange suction force twisted the entire space into a vortex. In an instant, the black-robed man's neck was pinched in his palm. "You should know what mission I gave you last time. What do you mean by coming back like this? Do you want to die?" The black-robed man, who was strong enough to fight Fairy Scarlet, was lifted into the air like a defenseless chick. Replying to the messenger, "I came back this time. I have something urgent to report," the black-robed man spoke with difficulty. His face gradually turned pale, as if his vitality had been sucked away. The youth frowned and released his grip. The black-robed man coughed violently and knelt on one knee. Then, the black-robed man briefly described the situation he had encountered. When he talked about Lin Chen's escape, the horned youth's expression changed drastically. The second ultimate shadow? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.